Well, I
So
mean,
Monster Hunter
Well,
World, guys, really great
that's
game.
why I
yeah,
came, just to talk to Roca about that.
yeah, Monster Hunter World. So what's the deal with that, Rocker? What's the deal with that game?
It's it's got lots of boss fights. It's got lots of content.
Okay.
Quests. It's awesome.
It's
Yeah.
Great graphics.
way more intense than Guild Wars, actually.
Way
It's
more
actually-
Guild Wars, you can
intense.
just kind of AFK, right, and just auto
Yeah.
attack in your rotation. Monster Hunter, like you constantly have to be trying.
You
Okay.
can't just stand behind an enemy. Like they actually
Yeah.
have tails that will hit you if you do that.
Oh, wow.
Crazy. Like these crazy mechanics where they can like do attacks to all sides. It's insane.
Whoa, that is pretty insane, actually.
I couldn't deal with it.
So,
couldn't
do you
handle
think
it,
that's
but
what we need in the next Raven? We need a boss with a tail.
I'm actually thinking that
Well,
ArenaNet could look at these like they have gotten inspiration from other games before. I think they got inspiration from games like I think they said they were influenced by like Nier Automata bullet hell stuff for the CMs and fractals, and I think they were influenced by Dark Souls for Wing 4, I believe. Did they say something like this? So looking
Yeah.
at other games like
Yeah.
this and
Plausible.
like getting ideas is not really a far-fetched idea. I think they'd be sweet if they did.
well, I mean, my favorite raid bosses are definitely the ones that are like more reactive. Like, and
Yeah,
Monster Hunter World bosses are way more reactive. Like Doom, there's not much to react to other than shackles.
it's one big thing that I really like, for example, about Turayosa as well. That was one of these fights where you had to like react to quick boss
It's like
animations rather than big.
Nightmare CM is really like reactive, like Encelus especially.
Yeah, very much so. I think
I wish there was more raid bosses like that.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's certainly good design. I think a few bosses like Doom are pretty cool though, where they're kind of a puzzle. You just to kind of figure out the solution to doing it. But having a more reactive boss is definitely pretty cool. I think in Guild Wars though, that will probably end up as I don't know. It might end up as fairly easy because there's a lot of stuff you can do to kind of ease your passing in these things.
Matthias was
if they want to make the bosses more action based, like for example, making them like Turiasa or like Loopy, they have to be willing to go back and buff them. Like after people figure out the cheese way to do it,
Yeah.
like they have to be able to go back and like change things, like making Loopy's auto attack projectile not be blockable or whatever. So like that way you kind of keep upping the ante as people get used to them.
I think it kind of worked on Matthias. Like Matthias has some
Yeah.
things. Like the Hadouken initially was kind of hard to dodge.
Yeah.
Like it was
And it still trips
interesting.
people
It
up.
was different.
Yeah,
So,
it still
a
trips
lot of people still can't do it, right?
Yeah, yeah, and that's why I think Matthias is a bit of a favorite. I would say I think he's a very
It's my favorite
popular,
fight.
I
very
really like
popular
him.
boss. Yeah, I think Matthias is
I
excellent.
think I like it the
It would
most
be really
because
good
it's
with
the
a
only
CM.
one that has pressure. It's like
I
the
would
only
say-
one that has like pressure on the healer.
I
Like,
would
like
say
strong pressure.
he's the only boss where world first actually mattered.
Yeah,
I would say
Did Teapot get
yeah.
the
that?
only boss out there
yeah, you think so?
that actually mattered.
Yeah, the only important world's first.
The one and only boss.
Okay, yeah, okay, yeah. I mean, obviously, I would definitely agree with that statement. I would say all other worlds first, except maybe I think Demos CM might be a good one as well. Like that also might be important, but everything else is not relevant. It's everything else trash. Okay, those are the only two important worlds first, obviously. Yeah, that would be very much awesome. I think bosses like that can be really good. They're a lot of fun to progress on as well, and but they're also not as, I guess, in a way frustrating as something like Doom, because like for the first section of Doom progression, it was just a case of we get to the first soul rip, then we instantly die. We don't know how to stop the skeleton spawning. Like what the fuck do we even do? It's impossible. We give up. Okay, and that's that's slightly different. Whereas Matthias, it's more obvious what needs to happen, and it is the path to success is very obvious, right? It's just
One
a
is
case
more
of
like-
getting there because of all the chaos.
One is more like figuring out what the mechanic is, and then it's kind of easy to deal with it, or it's
Yeah.
kind of obvious. And the other one is really like having to learn how to deal with the mechanic because it's like requires a fast reaction and not just knowing where to go at what time.
And that's some better gameplay as well, like more suited to Guild Wars 2 with the dynamic combat system. Go ahead, Nike.
Yeah, I was gonna say like Matthias. I think now, knowing what we know now as a community and like the skill that players have, like Matthias would not be considered like a good boss during progression, just because now we know that you would just bring a heal Ellie and just
it would
bring
get obliterated.
or just bring a Scourge healer. And
Well, the enrage timer is like way too soft. It's like 10 minutes to kill that guy.
Yeah, but I mean, still, like, look at the first kills. They had like 30 seconds left on the enrage timer.
Yeah,
like,
they-
it wasn't like that. It wasn't super crazy.
So we had to
Yeah.
nerf all the crazy
I
heal
think we would just like the community would just go, oh, we should just overheal and solve this.
This is something that I've mentioned on stream, and people didn't really agree with me. I don't know why people didn't agree with me, but I said something like, if Wing 1 and Wing 2 got released now, they'd be considered like Wing 4 tier of difficulty. They'd just get face rolled really hard because the community is much more advanced in its strategies. So like a lot of the mechanics wouldn't exist, right?
Gauzeval would definitely be considered trash tier nowadays.
Yeah, but think about it, like imagine they release Wing 6, okay, and the first boss is Gauzeval, but he's wearing a hat, right? If you
I'd love it.
You wouldn't see anything, right? You wouldn't see any mechanics because everyone just does so much damage these days, right? So a lot of this stuff would be considered kind of meh, right? And I think the same is true for Matthias as well, because you saw this especially on Wing 5 progression. People kind of wised up and ran a lot of heal Ellies, a lot of double druid stuff, and it was, I don't know, like a lot of necros. It wouldn't be that hard now to do it for the first time. People go like, is that all? But you know, you have to take it in context, right? That the raid community was a lot less developed, like the metagame was a lot less developed, so it kind of seemed harder at the time, I suppose. And it was harder at the time because people didn't exactly know how to play the game as well. So
they should keep pushing the envelope.
And sometimes
you could tune Gauzeval to be just as hard now. Like if you went back and like tuned it, like you could make it just as hard as it was.
Ender's Echo.
Yeah, like triple Gauzeval's HP, and then
I would love
all
that
of a sudden
so much.
you have.
You're
going to be doing an updraft most likely at some point.
I would love if they added challenge modes retrospectively, where they just fix numbers, where they just increase HP or damage or. Yeah, just give the boss twice as much HP to make the DPS timer challenging. I think that'd be
like Sabbatha, like in the last phase when those little orange AoEs come down, if those one-shot you, put you into down, like they 100 to 0'd you. Like
I would love
not dead, but like put you into down state. One like that's a lot of stuff to avoid.
No Sabbatha, but all the small red AoEs are actually flame walls.
Oh my
all
god!
Of them. Insta death.
Maybe they make them fall a bit slower,
you up
right?
and they carry you around.
They're Doom CM. Nice. Yeah, or they can be like the tornado in Deepstone Fractal, right? Like if you touch them, you have to be broken. You just fly off the.
Or they're Matthias tornadoes. Where
god! They're all flame tornadoes. That would be fun, man. That would be great.
Like you could make it hard.
Yeah, you could make a lot of stuff very difficult in the game.
And sometimes it's really like if you think about a boss like Matthias, it was really at one point when one build became public that Matthias got a lot easier, and that's Mesmer. Not going for Region Druid here. That's Connie Mesmer.
I thought you were going for it. I really thought you were going for it, man. I thought you were going to say,
right? I think most people did, but I went for the Connie Mesmer. Because Connie Mesmer just he deleted the CC mechanic. He was easy DPS. Before that, people used I remember times where people ran Dagger, Warhorn, Fresh Air, Ellies on this. Like running blinks to get away and stuff, and that shit was considered meta. And then Connie Mesmer happened, and everything became much easier when it came to Matthias.
Well, it's like how you were just saying we were naive back then.
Yeah.
So like looking at radar, the fastest kill times for Gauzeval right now are like between 223 and like 230. So just make like 235 the enrage timer and see what happens.
Well, actually, I would love to like have weekends where like permadeath is a thing or something, or like Ender's Echo is added to another fight, or like the enrage timer is halved, like something like that.
That will be really hype.
I just want to see the community go crazy when they can't kill a boss for a week.
Exactly. Yeah, that would be fucking great. Yeah. I go, what am I supposed to do? I have to actually do DPS now. Yeah, that would be. That would certainly be a lot of fun.
Like KC, like there are no orbs. Like the orbs don't give you a damage bonus.
Oh wow!
Like you have to man mode it the whole way. That'd be great.
You just take a heal scourge for that, then it's easy. Okay, and then it's no problem. You can just doesn't matter what happens. Like you can have 2 projections up.
But isn't it sad, guys, how all these DPS numbers, how we have all these classes with all these crazy benchmarks, and they don't seem to matter? What's up with benchmarks, guys? What's going on with benchmarks? I heard that topic come up lately. Is there something I should know about? I haven't been playing Guild Wars 2 as much. Maybe somebody can fill me in and what Anything happened recently?
Well, you got to be careful with those writs on the golem, man. Okay, you really do. Okay, I mean, we won't go into it too much. Okay, but I mean, obviously, you know, the Reddit detectives are at it again and have once again exposed the community. You know, I'm getting flashbacks to the time that QT got hard debunked on their warrior build. Actually, warrior is not a condition, guys. Okay, but yeah. Yeah, you got to be careful with those benchmarks, guys. Okay, you've always got to show the food, otherwise you're going to be in some serious trouble. You never know what you might end up doing. Okay, you might end up like cheating out another 600 DPS for that dank Epine. Okay, but I mean that's all the benchmarks are really, and I realize they are a necessity. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to benchmarks, I think they're such a double-edged sword for the Guild Wars 2 community. Like, of course, they are a necessary evil to a certain extent. You need to be able to compare your DPS to a good player, right? Okay, because you want to see if you're any good, right? You want to see if you're doing the rotation, right? And having it there as a demonstration is very good. But the thing is, it causes people to not quite understand how the game actually works. They just look at that big dick DPS, okay? Like they just thought, well, look at Thief, guys, 36k DPS.
People care too much about the number, right? It should be more about practicing just like a rotation and like even adjusting your own rotation.
Exactly, yeah. That would be.
I mean, we can easily prove what builds are good by recording a bunch of pug runs where you have the highest DPS in the pug, therefore the build's good. Like that's all you need to do to prove whether your build's good.
I think the issue is where people look at the benchmark to find out which build is good rather than an actual encounter, right?
Yeah, and we've hit the point this balance patch where pretty much every profession is sort of around like the 32k mark, like give or take, besides like crazy thief numbers. So like really it doesn't matter what it does in the golem now because they're all about the same on the golem. What matters is what they do on each boss. And it's clear that there's certain ones that are way better on certain bosses than the other.
Yeah. I think that's a very healthy situation to be, right? That's all good. I think that the best way to balance the game is to make it a little bit situational, right? And that's very much the case with a lot of the classes. I don't know, and there's a lot of things that different classes can do that give them advantages in certain fights. I think the biggest example of this is Necro. And a fight. No, seriously, though.
Yeah,
okay,
no, I wasn't laughing because it's wrong. That's not what I was trying to say.
Yeah, if you look at Doom CM, like I think Necro is really great on Doom and Doom CM in general. It might not be best in slot. I think that probably goes something like Condi Renegade maybe or something like that. I don't exactly know what people are running as the best thing right now. I'm not up to date, guys. Okay,
but if you're casual enough to still use a Druid on Doom, then Renegade is the best DPS.
Is the FP?
But if you're actually good and you don't use a Druid and you just go all Scourges, and let the Scourge barrier carry you,
then
Scourge is the best in slot.
Yeah, nice. There you go. See, but like, why? How is this possible, guys? Scourge benches at like 28k. What's going on there? Well, it's because there's various things that can happen in the fight that are really good for Necro. One of my favorite things.
You can't just AFK it on Necro because
this is my favorite part about Necro. Dude.
Let's call it by its name because you don't have to look at your keyboard. You can like 24/7 while playing Necro. You can look at your minimap and you can look at where that black guy is and you can evade him. It's easy.
Soul Beast is even better than Necro at that. Like.
It has very high DPS uptime though, right? Like the thing is, it can just always attack.
Yeah, exactly. And he can move anywhere he wants. He doesn't like his skills don't really have a necessary like order to them. You can basically spam them without a lot of payoff, and you can move wherever you want, and it doesn't affect your skills because none of it is really a skill shot that's really relevant to be aimed. And it's it's like you can just move around a lot. I actually found the recent Dead I actually found that quite easy as well. The only disadvantage that has compared to Necro is that he has to be melee, and that's really everything, right? Other than that, it's the same thing. You don't really have to look at anything. You have so much time to look at the screen. That's what I think is the entire advantage here.
Yeah. I think there is plenty of finessing, for Necromancer in terms of DPS. I mean, it's not the most difficult rotation, but then again, you do have to make it flow to a certain extent. But yeah, the thing that doesn't show up in the Golem, right, regardless of rotational complexity or like end benchmark number on the Golem, right, is that nothing can really stop you attacking on Necro. You're just going to keep going. The game can't stop you from hitting the boss, right? And that doesn't appear to be the case on the Golem, right? You can't tell, because on the Golem you can just attack all the time. And stuff like that doesn't get expressed very well, it causes people to write off poor old Necromancer, okay? And people really underestimate Epidemic now. You know what? This Epidemic nerf is bad because it's baited everyone into thinking Necro is terrible, and no one runs it anymore. It makes me really sad. Even though Necro would make everyone's lives easier. Okay,
Yeah,
so,
and I'm not saying this to bash Necro or anything. I'm not saying this to like insult Necro players or anything. I'm just saying that it's an objective fact that some rotations don't have things that get interrupted through movement. Like an Ellie can't move like this. Ellie has to cast his Meteor Shower at some point. And then Necro can. That's why Necro is so much better suited for this.
Yeah. So it's a big problem with the benchmarks and the way people interpret them. And, you know, this is not bashing any benchmark makers. You can write all the disclaimers you want, but for a start, people aren't going to fucking read them. And even if they do, they aren't going to pay attention anyway. So it's kind of irrelevant. It's not anyone's fault here. It's just a bit of a shame that a lot of this stuff doesn't really get interpreted, and it leads to a very bad perception of the way the balance is. It leads to stuff like Necromancer is not even fringe viable. Okay. And I don't know. I mean,
but I mean,
stuff like
the thing
support
is, I think benchmarks have progressed quite a long time. At this point, you're not good anymore if you just look at a benchmark. You're Snowcrows don't just give you their DPS number. They don't just grind out a number and put it on their site. They give you the grinded out number, which is the peak performance number. They give you the regular number that you're always going to hit. So you already have like a little bit of room that as a new player, you know that if you're like higher than this number and below this number, you're like doing well. And then they'll also have pages where they say for this boss, this is good, right? If you go to the Snowcrows page, actually for every boss there is for every class guide, I believe, there's this little section up at the top that tells you it's good for this boss, it's medium good for this good boss.
Yeah,
it's
but
really
those things are
trash for this
kind of
boss.
wrong in a lot of cases.
Yeah, a lot of them are outdated. They're just, I mean, and it's just a matter of it's a volunteer thing. Like they're not getting paid to do it, so of course they're not going to have everything up to date right after each balance patch.
Where do the Ritz come into this, Roca? Where are the?
Well, the Ritz. Well, it seems like somebody was a naughty boy, right? Somebody was a naughty boy and cheated on his benchmarks.
We've all been at work, and the work is piling up, and it's like 6 p.m. on a Friday, and you're like, I gotta get out of here, and you just fucking and go. You don't give a fuck about
it's done. Like, it's all good. Yep.
Why don't we start at the beginning of this? Like, if this is, we're obviously expected to talk about this properly, right? Why don't we start at the beginning? Maybe somebody like sum up what even happened on Reddit, so people know what we're talking about. And,
okay.
Like, I mean, probably everybody knows what we're talking about, but
let's talk about some drama, guys. Okay. We might as well address it. Might as well get it over with. Okay. So, it was brought to our attention, okay, by Master Guild Wars 2 benchmark detective Fennec QT, okay? That some
he has
of
a
these
big promotion coming up, by the way, in the benchmark police.
Yeah.
I'm gonna gift Fennec a sub to Roca's channel, so he has the benchmark police.
He's got that benchmark police, yeah. So what happened, guys, is that some of these benchmarks were a little bit off. So I don't know how do people even notice this shit, man? Okay, but some of those binding blade procs, man. Ooh, that was very naughty there, and it got exposed. Got exposed that someone had been cutting corners. Okay, on honestly, I don't think it would have been a big deal actually. Like it could have been written off as an accident, but you know what happened? There are a few screenshots with maybe this individual saying like, yeah, if you've got some trust issues, bro, then hey, that's not my problem, okay? That's not go sort yourself out, that sort of thing, okay? And things have been said, okay? And that's when we find issues. Yeah, drama Delver Teapot, exactly. But yeah, I mean, honestly, it's not a fucking big deal. I don't really care as much as I think a lot of other people do. Honestly, I think people are just getting whipped up just for the sake of it. But yeah, in other words, a benchmark was too high. Yeah. There was a writ on it. It should have been a sharpening stone. It's inflated. It got exposed. Okay, exposed and debunked. Okay, destroyed on Reddit.
The thing is, I don't blame him. Like when all you do is play this game, you want to have the biggest EP.
I'm actually gonna say this. I have no Nightmare. Like this is about Nightmare, right? We might as well name his name is all over Reddit. And I've known him for a long time. Okay. And I've been benchmarking with him for a long time. Before he was an SE, I've been in Lucky Noobs with him, and we had a fan site as well. We also made benchmarks on our site, right?
Okay.
And I know how engaged he is with these benchmarks, and I know how much workload he puts on himself. So I have to a certain extent, I have some understanding for what he did, and I think I can somewhat understand why he did it. I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not saying it's cool. Okay, I'm not saying it's legal. I'm not saying it's fine.
Yeah.
But I know that he doesn't just do one rotation. He's not a Guardian main who does nothing but do one Guardian benchmark every time there's a balance update. Nightmare's the kind of guy who will actually, after a balance patch, take all the classes that nobody else wants to cover and he'll get to them. Like, for example, when
He's a legend
Renegade
on this
just
one.
became a thing, nobody in Lucky News back then, we didn't have many Renegade players who would do a benchmark, who were good enough to do a benchmark. And he would sit down and he would grind out every single number for it, okay? He'd sit down for every edge class and everything and turn it into a benchmark. And that is why he usually ended up, after every balance patch, having to do like 15 rotations or something. If you actually look at his YouTube channel, you're going to see that he has, like, after every balance patch, he pulls up like 10 to 15 videos within like 2 days or something. And that's a big workload. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. A lot of work, because you don't just play the class for 1 or 2 hours until you have a good rotation and you put them on YouTube. Because if you do that, somebody else will come along, somebody who plays only that class, and they will grind out a little bit better benchmark, and they will try to undermine your authority.
Yeah. Then they'll say, "Oh,"
and it's stupid. It's retarded. It's absolutely stupid. But it's happened to me. It's happened to everybody I did this with at all times. There's always somebody who comes along who uploads 300 DPS more than you. And acts like he's the absolute professional, and you have never done it before.
And that's why people have to stop caring about the absolute highest number. You don't settle arguments by who has the highest DPS number.
On the golem,
right? On the golem.
Let's say Goku and I disagreed about something in like a warrior rotation. I will never beat Goku at benchmarking a warrior. It's just not going to happen, no matter what. But does that mean I'm wrong about what I'm saying about the rotation? Not necessarily. It could just be that he's so much better that he can use the worst version and still get a better number. So like settling arguments by who has the higher number is the most insane thing ever. Like, you got to be able to back up what you say with but
it happens. Numbers. It happens all the time, and people take it seriously. Especially the people who do it. Especially the people who put work into it and a lot of time. Take it very seriously when people start like, I don't know, grinding up a better number and acting like they know better.
You get that, but you do 300 less DPS than me, Roca. I guess you're trash. Okay, I guess you're a terrible player.
Do we have to go for another duel?
Roca, do you remember what happened with the Power Reaper?
Back to raids.
Do you remember that? Okay. Hey, chat, does anyone remember that? What was the score again? Someone remind me.
We should have done that 1 week later, maybe. We should have done that 1 week.
Yeah, wow, okay, it's like a giraffe there, guys.
It wasn't it was a gentleman's sweep because Rocket did win one, right?
I did win one.
Or did you win two?
I won one,
like 8-2 or something.
Yeah, he won KC. He won KC. And I gave him the Zera. I gave him the Zera for free. Okay, chat thought he deserved it.
I would have won Veil Guardian as well, but I got ported.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I can't deal with mechanics. That's why I instantly messaged them, and the next day they implemented the little yellow border. That's all because I lost that Veil Guardian. That's fine.
I think it does kind of highlight what we were talking about a little earlier about benchmarks, though. At the end of the day, the most important thing in that video, okay, just put your hand over the DPS number, pretend it's not there, okay, and look at that rotation, right? Like, because that is what the important thing is. That's what's been figured out. That's where the majority of the work has gone in there, I suppose, to a certain extent. Like, there's loads of stuff like he's even try-harding the weapon stows, man. Okay, like it's all the good stuff is already there. Just ignore the number. Like, this is fight. It's a little bit blah blah blah. Oh, you didn't tell the truth. Oh, we do the writs. Okay, come on. Like, do you want to sit on the golem and grind out ages? He even said as much in a message. Right, Nightmare has officially responded. Okay, and it was a time save. And honestly, I don't really blame him for that. Like, he shouldn't have been going around saying like, "Aha, if you don't believe me, then that's your problem, buddy." But but still, right? The most important thing is the rotation, and the rotation is good. So there you go. Who cares? It's 600 DPS. Just be sure to take off that 600, then you're okay, all right? And if you just don't look at the numbers if it upsets you, right? It's not a big deal. It's just meme drama. You see, this is what happens, guys, okay? I hate to bring this up again, but drama happens when there's no content. Look what happened with Deroya, guys. Look what happened, okay? If they'd added a new raid wing, maybe no one would have cared, all right? But then they'd still have 2 extra employees, okay? All right? Simple.
Then we wouldn't have gotten the Deroira stream.
That's true, actually. This is true.
I'll play devil's advocate for a second and say maybe it is a big deal. 600 DPS could potentially be a big deal. So an example that I thought of is in this round of benchmarks, Snowcrows used in their Condi Warrior, they used Headbutt as part of the rotation. Whereas in the previous patch, they did not use Headbutt as part of the rotation. So what is the gain or loss of using Headbutt? I guarantee it's less than 600.
Well, there's so much other variabilities in
right. There, like what I'm saying is that one skill is probably like 100 DPS difference in the end. So if you're fudging your numbers by 600, how could you ever detect a 100 DPS pro or con either way? So we don't know for a fact that Headbutt is a DPS increase right now.
I wouldn't
because it's not necessarily better.
I wouldn't take that conclusion because ultimately, when you actually decide to change your rotation for a rotation video, that usually comes with a lot of theory craft of it, behind it. That means he probably did a lot of tests, and his average numbers were higher with this. I don't think that you can actually say just because of this that like the other classes are like the rotational changes they make to rotations. Because they have higher DPS on them, that those aren't justified. I wouldn't go that way.
I mean, I guess this is like a really corner case one that I'm citing, the Headbutt, because in a power class, you're going to have a 100% chance to crit on the Golem. Whereas with a Condi Warrior, you're at like 57% chance to crit. And I guarantee you on the Condi Warrior video they uploaded, every Headbutt crit. Like,
yeah, it's like they probably grind it.
That's just how you do it, right? So maybe if every Headbutt doesn't crit and only 57% of the Headbutts crit, maybe Headbutt's not actually worth using. It's only worth using in the times where everyone crits. So like there's like little things like that just make the benchmark number a little bit more grinded than something you can actually necessarily rely on to give you the right rotation. But that's I don't think that's necessarily the case for power builds, because power builds you always crit every time. So
but now if you took both benchmarks, he said like he would grind like the one with the Headbutt and the one without the Headbutt, and his best number with Headbutt is better than the one without. When you still say that that should be the top number to be uploaded, that should be the top rotation, like perfect case. Is that kind of the meaning?
What about using Headbutt for CC and not DPS?
Yeah, I mean, I guess like Karen, you can.
It's just more reason to not enter the pissing contest.
But yeah, it is. You're right. It's one of these edge cases. It's like, and some bosses you could definitely do that. Some bosses you can't do that. So I don't know. I think it's right to show the best rotation for best DPS because that's what I think. I don't think Golem benchmarks are meant to teach you boss mechanics or meant to teach you how to adapt your class to a boss mechanic. Everybody should at some point understand that your boss rotation is going to be different than Golem. But it should like show.
For example, like I'm not an expert on Guardian, but like I'm pretty sure on, maybe this is outdated info, but on the Golem, people start in a different weapon on Dragon Hunter than they start with in actual fights. Like you start on a different swap, and maybe that's outdated, but I remember people saying like, oh, I don't understand why they start the Golem with such and such weapon, because in an actual fight you start on the other weapon, and it's just to grind out a few more 100 DPS. So that's not even necessarily valid. Like, you know what I mean? Like whatever rotation that's teaching you is wrong.
You're talking about exactly, because I'm not I'm not very invested in Guardian at all. You're talking about like the focus precast or stuff like this?
Well, you can do that in realistic, so it must be something else.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think your microphone just went off again.
Yeah, sorry. I like again, I'm not like 100% up to speed on that, but I just remember it being like a talking point that it was like, oh, they start their rotation on the golem in greatsword, but really in a fight you don't start in greatsword.
Well, I mean, there are all sorts of things that are sometimes a little bit different, and yeah, there's certainly an argument to be made that maybe you shouldn't do that, right? It's kind of the same as all the precasting. Well, a lot of the precasting is possible, right? You can precast thief venoms and stuff like that, right? It's a case of like,
it's just annoying. It's like
it's annoying.
I mean, I remember doing that on your rate once, and I had like 5 people shout at me because I wouldn't like ready up because I was waiting for.
You're waiting for the precast.
Well,
Just want that
and
DPS.
People get mad, so that's why people. Yeah. So it's like it's theoretically possible. It's correct, but that used to be a huge thing on Druid. That used to be a huge thing I had personal issues with on Druid and Sobeys benchmarks. Like everybody would do their precast differently. One person would do them right away and reset them and like basically start with sharpening stones and immediately recast it again. Other people would wait for like half of the cooldown to run out. Some people would not precast at all. It just made it all a little bit, because there weren't really fixed rules. It was like a little bit. Yeah, it was. I don't know. It wasn't fun.
I don't think we should do precast at all on benches, but maybe that's casual.
I mean, I think then again there are real benchmarks. I read on Reddit somebody posted that like he stopped taking benchmarks seriously when people did Tempest benchmarks precasting air overload.
Yeah.
But that used to be like that was everywhere. Like you could do that on pretty much every boss.
Veil Guardian, it was what people did all the time.
Like, yeah. It's
if you're center strat fighting.
I mean, I think what boss didn't you do that actually?
I think with the
maybe
nature
like
of the way Tempest was, you can you could even do it there if you get there before the boss spawns there.
Yeah, true.
So,
but most bosses that used to be that wasn't unrealistic. Like I would disagree to say that is unrealistic. Yes, it saved you a shit ton of DPS on the golem, and it was a huge difference whether you like really managed to hit him on the very last proc while precasting or whether you went in a little bit too early. But it was correct. It was a proper precast.
Well, once again, I kind of draw back to the fact that at the end of the day, it's not really the number on the benchmark that is important. It's the priority and the order of the skills, right?
I think the number gives you an indication of where you want to land when you test this. And that's why I think it's so important that Snowcross, for example, gives you not just the peak number, but they also give you a lower number in comparison.
Yeah.
Because you want to know how am I performing,
exactly,
right? Because
yeah.
Especially on a class like Ellie, it's very easy to think that your rotation is okay when you're really actually like slower than what a really good Ellie would be like. And then you kind of need a number to remind you. You kind of like
that's
need
true.
a number to tell you can improve. There's something that you're missing.
But I think almost a better way of determining your performance would be to get familiar with the rotation, then see how you perform on an actual fight. Right, as compared
it's just harder to practice though.
It is harder to practice. That is true. But
if you're a new player and you struggle to get into a raid in the first place, maybe you have like one slot on a training group. You can very well just say, like, a lot of people probably wouldn't be able to say, I'll just go and join some Matthias pug to practice my rotation.
Yeah, and on top of that, to kind of compare yourself to, suppose you wanted to compare yourself to a top elementalist player on Veil Guardian, right? They're probably in a very strong guild, in a very experienced group, and they're going to be doing a very aggressive strategy, right? That you might not be doing as a new player. For example, they might be doing mid-strat Veil Guardian, okay? But if you're playing in a pug or in a training guild or something like that, you're very likely to be doing a different strategy. You'll almost certainly be doing an edge tanking strategy and rotating around the things as well. So you're going to have a lot less DPS there. So I guess there's a less of a valid comparison there as well because of differences in strategy and composition on top of that as well, right? And just in general, like the up times of the various buff classes won't be as strong as well because there'll be less experienced players there as well. So I guess the Golem is very good for that sort of thing, but I do wish people wouldn't get so caught up in it, I have to say, because
the Golem should be something where the absolute beginners start, right? That should be what benchmarks are for, like giving people who want to learn a class an indication of where it is. It shouldn't be something that professionals or hardcore players like jerk their dick over. It shouldn't be something that affects them. They should know that these numbers aren't the one and only.
Yeah.
So just addressing something in chat that like Jojis and Neru brought up, like why do people care? I don't think people would have cared if 3 months ago or 2 months ago, when people first started saying, there's something fishy about this particular benchmark, if they weren't met with a response to that question of, maybe you better just get good. Maybe you suck. I'm not going to give you a log. Why should I? Fuck off. Like, if that wasn't the response that people got from Nightmare and others, then maybe they wouldn't have come back with a sledgehammer that's there's a right way and a wrong way to handle everything, and maybe Fennec went a little too hard on his post, but I guarantee you, when someone first asked Nightmare for a log 2 months ago, they had gotten one, it would not have been a big deal that blew up in the community. Guaranteed.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah,
it would have been more internalized, right? It would have been a haha, got him exposed. Right?
It would have been a meme on Discord, not a meme on Reddit.
Precisely, exactly, yeah. It would have just been,
why did Fennec even have the time to look at his numbers?
Like, because there's no raid wing.
If we had a raid wing,
he wouldn't be able to do it.
Nobody would have noticed.
Yeah, exactly. There'd be no way.
And I mean, you can say it sounds petty, and it is, but we have free time to do it. But like, obviously, because there's no raid wing, and yeah, it is petty, but it's just as petty as actually using a writ on a benchmark, like to have 500 more DPS. Like, that's petty too. Like, that's just like it's petty in both ways. So it's like you can't say like one side or the other is being petty. They're both petty, and whatever.
But you can let's take it virtuously, right? Okay, we have the ardent benchmark police, protector of the community, Fennec, okay? And then we have, on the other side, we have Nightmare, who's just bored of grinding that stupid golem, man, okay? He wants to get those benchmarks out, save the community, tell those Guardian mains that they can do that big dick DPS, okay? So there you go. You can see, it can be taken both ways, okay? It can be positive. Yeah, it's PMA. Everyone's very PMA here.
The thing is, ultimately, it didn't hurt anybody. It didn't change anybody. No dev went out there and was like, "Oh, Guardian should get nerfed." Oh boy, if it was like 300 DPS less, it would be fine. But like, this is unacceptable,
Okay.
Nobody did that.
What if that happens next patch? Okay. What if next balance patch, which is coming soon, Roca? Okay, there's gonna be pro balance patch. What if they slam Guardian? Okay, they say,
I'd be fine with that. I don't give a shit about Guardian. I don't give a shit about everything that I loved has already been deleted.
I want them to do it for a meme, right? Okay, I just want to say unscathed contender nerfed to 10% from 20%. Get fucking wrecked, okay? Yeah, I bet you wish you hadn't used that writ now, huh? Like, there you go, right? There, see? The writ did it. The writ nerfed Guardian. Job done.
Speaking of writs, like, they should just be standard. I use a writ in every raid, always. Condi or power. It's always better. People are like, oh, it's not always better. It's always better to use a writ. Always, in every situation. Always? And they're not 2 gold anymore.
Weren't
the power writ is like 70 silver.
Weren't you the advocate at some point of Scholar runes aren't even that good because Scholar?
Yeah, and that was before. That was when we had Condi Druids.
Casual groups, sure.
Yeah.
Now that we have Harrier Druid as the main in every speed clear group, like, you have like Scholar uptimes way over 80% on every boss. But like back when it was Condi Druids and you were like in like the low 70s, high 60s quite often.
Those were the good times.
Yeah, it was like sort of like, okay, maybe Scholar isn't that great. But now, like, especially on Condi, like, so the power writ is like a 40 power upgrade over the sharpening stones on like Ellie, for example. But the Condi writ is like an 80 Condi damage increase, which is like just an enormous amount of extra DPS. Like I think you have to have like 70% uptime for the power writ to be better than the sharpening stone. But with the Condi writ, you need like a 30% uptime for it to be better. Like, it's like the Condi writ is like humongously better. It's so good that at least for Condi builds, those have those, and they're cheap. Like a toxic sharpening stone's like 25 silver, and these are 50. and it's like twice as good. So it's the same value. I don't know.
I think they've just never made it into benchmarks because you still consider benchmarks. Like going from what I said earlier, that benchmarks are supposed to help newer players, right? And newer players are exactly the demography that wouldn't use these or that shouldn't use these.
I think in a especially in a newer group or a less experienced group, you probably won't get as much value out of it because the scholar uptime might be lower.
Because healers suck.
I mean, by the same argument, these people should all be using Flame Legion runes then, or should be using Spellbreaker runes.
I think they could.
Well, maybe once
though.
everybody uses Heal Necro, maybe then everybody will like see the value of reds. Yeah,
I mean, he did Heal Necro is. I'm so sad actually that everyone's like, oh, ArenaNet have put this build in the game basically when they added the revive trait, and everyone's like, Heal Necro, when are we getting Heal Necro? I wish Necro had a proper support spec, man. I'm just gonna tell you this guy. I say this on the stream all the time. Heal Necro is easily the most busted, overpowered build in PvE by far.
But the Heal Necro benchmark is so low. Why would you run that?
Exactly. It's not. It's not a DPS increase. This is. I actually had an argument with the viewer about this actually, and it made. I was just confused. It just bamboozled me. The viewer was basically saying like, why would you ever run this over a druid, right? Like what? Fuck. It's just like, guys, not everything is about like a DPS increase.
Just link him the clip of you rezzing 9 players.
Well, you know what? Do you know what the
there
best
was only
part
8 players. 8.
You know what the best part actually is that like I had this argument like just after a clip quite similar to that. All right, on stream, right? I like rezzed a bunch of people and carried like a pug run of Matthias, I think, and he was like, well. Why would this is great, this reviving is great, but why would you run this over a druid? I don't see where this is ever going to be optimal. It's like, it's not about being optimal, guys, okay? If you care about being optimal, like you must be in some kind of speed.
The raid bosses are so easy to kill. You don't have to be optimal at all.
And honestly, I genuinely think that in a lot of groups, especially new groups, okay, and this is not me trash talking, okay, in a lot of groups, especially newer groups, you'll probably find that something like a Heal Necro might end up being a DPS increase over a druid anyway, because you're running 2 druids.
At the same time, this makes me fucking sad because that just means nothing matters. It just means DPS doesn't matter in the first place, so you don't have to care about it. And it's correct. It's correct. Nobody minds. Nobody cares. You don't have any advantage. Yes, 2 druids will be more DPS.
Would it be that much more DPS? But this is one of the kind of a sad misconception, really. Like double druid, like you don't get a lot of value out of it anymore.
Yeah, not a lot, but you get some. You know, that's not, the thing is, it doesn't matter. That's what it.
Power comp, you get the second glyph, which is like a 3% buff.
You get a second glyph. You get a second. You get a second spotter. You get the opportunity to bring more spirits as well. I mean, it does have merit. It does have merit.
Yeah. Absolutely,
It's just not that much.
Like
ever since spirits became 5-man, and ever since the might stacking became 10-man, ever since everything went 10-man, the most important things have been covered by one, right?
I'd rather have
a tiny advantage.
I'd rather have like 1 druid in one squad with spotter, and then the other squad having like a heal renegade with AP, just because AP is better than spotter. Like if you're just talking like pure, like even DPS increase, like. The heal renegade is a bigger DPS increase over the second druid. Plus, the heal renegade's got better DPS.
As cool as rezzing 9 people, would 9 have gone down with a druid healer? Yeah, definitely. It turns out that barrier is really fucking good in this game. By the way, dude.
I mean, heal necro.
Yeah,
it's the same argument with any heal spec. Really, you can have the same argument about heal Ellie. All it does, it heals more. It's a little bit less DPS, and it's at this point, it's so little less DPS that it doesn't really matter anymore. It's like your kill time probably won't change because of it. A down state has more impact on your DPS at any point.
And you just instantly
now than
this. And the 2 points is like, so 1 point is that, as someone pointed out in chat, Druid's not actually a good healer, like in terms of like pure heals that it pushes out, even with a full healing power gear set. It's not a good
When's
healer.
the last time you saw a druid run lingering light? Never.
Actually
watch out.
Scourge comps.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
In comps with heavy amounts of scourges, they make their own might, so you don't need.
Well, then you don't need a druid.
Dude, druid used to be such a good
That's the second point I was getting to.
Soul Beast.
It's like there was a bunch of records where people ditched druids and just stack scourges, and it's not because it's because barrier is fucking brokenly good. Like, and the more of it you have, the better it gets. Like with each other, like it's great.
Druid used to be such a great class.
Yeah.
Don't cry,
Used to be a lot
I saw
cooler.
this
Okay.
tweet actually, Roca. I saw this tweet actually. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
I was like going through all YouTube videos of mine on my channel, and I looked at some old runs, and I just like remember what Druid used to feel like, and like what Druid used to be, and it just made me sad. It made me like all nostalgic. I think I've reached a point where I'm one of these like nostalgic veterans where I'm like, all I say is like, nah, Druid used to be so much better in the past. Everything, the meta used to be so much cooler. No, release day of Wing 2, that was the best times. You guys can never reach that anymore. Like, nobody's ever going to have that.
I mean, they're dumbing everything down, right? Like, Druid's dumbed down, and now the top damage is fucking Thief, where you hit 2 skills.
Druid was amazing, okay? Druid was amazing. Druid used to have, like, just support Druid specs. It used to have 3 really interesting specs to them that all had interesting gameplay to them. Like, you could min-max the Condi Druid rotations, okay? Like, you could actually go into a raid and for multiple hours work on how to best get your average Grace of the Lands up. Nowadays, you just go into Celestial Avatar every now and then, you'll be fine. You'll be good. Just run Harriers and like CA every now and then. You'll have Might. It'll be good.
Well,
They took all the depth out of it. I'm not saying the change wasn't necessary. I'm not saying that Grace of the Lands was fine, but unfortunately, the changes as they happened, they somehow like took all of the depth that Druid had and turned it into like an auto attack spamming shit class, in my opinion.
That's true. This kind of segues into something that we were talking about on a previous tea time. I think this sort of thing. All right, don't shoot me, guys. Everyone here is an elitist, okay? I'm gonna come off as a casual motherfucker right now, okay? All right, don't bully me. But it feels almost necessary for this case to almost save raids and give the raids some merits in the eyes of ArenaNet. Like if they make everything a lot easier to execute, and I think they have done that. Like especially with regards to Mesmer, I'd say Mesmer is much easier than it used to be. Druid is certainly much easier than it used to be. Like all the DPS classes are very easy. You have stuff like Hollowsmith, Thief. I mean Scourge if people actually played it. Now that you can actually run a Druid and a dedicated healer, right, in your group, and you can be just fine there. Which was normally before that when you needed 1 Druid per subgroup to really have good damage. Well, to properly min-max. Well, to have like a reasonable value out of that. You'd have to run 3 healers, okay? It still happens. NA Matthias, okay? I've been there, guys, okay? It happens a lot, more than you would think.
Why's it gotta be NA, man?
But because it's seriously, NA is just, they're just, look, okay? I'm just gonna say this, guys. When it comes to getting safe kills, NA has got this shit down. It's those EU is like, yeah, we'll just run 2 Druid on every boss, okay? But NA, they're all about that heal alley, guys, okay? They are all about that heal alley. I've joined some pugs on NA. They do like quadruple healer, like statues, okay? In Wing 5. Like, yeah, why not? Okay, it's great. Like, I have a heal firebrand and a heal alley and then 2 druids. It's perfect. I mean, what's wrong with that?
It's honestly my biggest problem with the raids right now. I mean, other than just the fact we don't have them, is like casuals and hardcore players are going for the same thing as far as the game is concerned, right? Like, once you get a kill, you get a kill. There's nothing else to do other than just grind for a.
This is what kind of fucked up raids for me. I mean, I'm just gonna say it. It's not just too fucking casual. It's all my issue is that nothing matters. Nothing matters at all. These benchmarks, they should matter, in my opinion. I think it should matter.
Nobody even cares about like a record anymore or like a low man.
Yeah, it's all this big blob of everything's the same and everything works. It doesn't really matter if you play Weaver or Power Reap or something. It's all good. It's all the same. Everybody hold hands and let's just go in with whatever.
That is a very interesting point, because I don't think I'd agree with that. I think that matters. It doesn't matter to us. Okay, like realistically, if most people watching the stream and obviously us here on the stream, yeah, we can go into raids on pretty much anything and absolutely trounce it and roll it and smash it into paste. Right. The thing is, if you're a newer player, I think composition can make a huge difference. I think taking which classes specific to each bosses can make a huge difference. I think pugs can if you're a relatively new group, you play something like Zera, right? If you tried to muscle that with just thieves, I think you'd have a horrible time, right? But if you like get a few Necros in there, maybe some Hollow Smiths, a Weaver or something to get the cleave, I think suddenly it will be way easier, right, to do it. Like, true, like, yeah, like, more experience.
I'm saying, like, the DPS, well, basically this goes back to DPS timers are too easy. And, like, just to clear up in chat, I'm not, like, complaining about things being balanced or anything, or that every class is good. I'm complaining that you could play, like, really bad classes and it wouldn't matter because DPS boss timers are extremely lenient. That's, like, I'm not arguing that, like, you shouldn't, like, certain classes shouldn't be allowed in raids or something. I'm just saying that it doesn't matter. And it's not because everything is as good as each other. It's just because the boss doesn't have the difficulty to require anything.
I think it's not that it doesn't matter about the profession. It just doesn't matter that the player has to be good. Like, the player doesn't have to be good.
The DPS ultimately doesn't matter. Whether it's a good player on a shit class or a great class on a bad player. It's
well, that was my entire point, right? It's like, if you're a good player, there's no incentive to play the game other than getting your weekly clear that takes 2 hours.
Yeah.
Which I mean, obviously I'm heavily elitist right now. I don't care about the casuals.
Ooh.
But I don't know. It's just like repeatable CMs, please.
I'm just saying that I find it kind of boring to go into a raid and not have to think about what I play and not have to think. At this point, I completely stopped caring about any of that stuff.
You can solve
I
that
absolutely
by
stopped caring.
transfer NA, join VP, and we care about the professions that we use on each fight.
Yeah. And
If you want a min-max, come on back, Roca.
Yeah, this is where Nike's completely right here, though. It's the thing is, Roca, okay? You're just being a lazy bum, okay? Like, the thing is, the game, this is very much a double-edged sword, the effect you're describing, right? The game is putting it on you to decide if you want to min-max, right?
But I've been min-maxing for
I know
for a good time.
So
the thing is, there's no reason to do it. I wish there was a Gorzaval fight where I had to try hard my rotations.
Yeah.
It destroys the boss fight to me. Gorzaval is absolutely a terrible boss fight unless your entire group goes for absolute tryhards. To me personally, I don't have fun in Gorzavals if it's just any run where nobody cares and it's just about getting the kill. It's not fun. To me, personally. I would enjoy Gorzaval if it's actually, like, if everybody goes for, like, if I was pushing 4 times, I would have fun doing it, right? If the boss fight had actually, like, a challenging timer or something, if the boss had 3 times as much HP, I would have fun doing it because I would have to try hard my rotations way more, and that would make the boss interesting again. But I don't have to do that. I don't have to do it at all. Nobody cares. People actually make fun of you if you do it. People actually make fun of you more if you do this, or if you ever even mention that you would enjoy, like, going for high DPS or something. The majority of people would rather make fun of you than agree with that. There's no incentive at all to go for this. It's not. You know, that makes it boring long term. There's no.
Well, shout out to my boy Murph, who made Guild Wars 2 Radar. Because those leaderboards on Radar are the only thing keeping competitive, like, kill times alive. Because for most bosses, you cannot beat the all-time record right now. We got toned down in balance, so the all-time record boss kills for most bosses are completely untouchable. So the only thing that makes people even want to try hard is to get on the leaderboard of Radar for the current balance patch. Like, that's the only thing to motivate people to try. So kudos to him for making that, because otherwise, like, there would be nothing to go for in terms of, like, try hard.
It is a really good style, yeah. It's really cool.
Well, I don't know. I do think that it's kind of down to the player. Guild Wars 2 is always about this. I think this is a really core design philosophy at ArenaNet, that it's up to the player to set their own goals. So I don't think this is too bad. And I do want to make kind of go back to what I was originally saying. I kind of got sidetracked a little bit. I think having a raid scene like this, where it's relatively casual, very easy to get into, but it has potential to be as try hard as you want, is really great. And when you have a lot of these classes that are a lot simpler, and it's the min-maxing where things can get a little bit tricky, and play the most aggressive strat with no druid, like just a soul beast or whatever, something like that, where you have these very aggressive comps that are much more difficult to execute and may wipe even a very experienced group. Having stuff like that is a really good way to have it, because that means you have a low barrier of entry, right? So you can get as many people into it as possible, right? And then you also have that high-end potential as well, as you see. I mean, just as Nike was saying, right? And you can see this on his stream, right? Like whenever Nike streams his reset clears, they'll always swap a lot of classes out. They'll try and execute the most efficient strategy on each boss, right? And they do this because they want to. Like, it gains them nothing. Like, in a full clear, they probably lose time, right? Because they're changing their composition. Honestly, maybe they even die, right? Some of these strats are very aggressive, and you end up dying. I mean, it happens, right? Look at the raid tournament.
And it's right to some extent, but at some point, after like, I mean, I've been doing this for like 2 years or something, and at some point, it's oh no, why? Like, you lose interest.
Well, that's fine too, though. I mean, that's okay too. Huh.
Like that just freaks.
Seems we maybe wait. Wait. You guys hear me?
No.
Oh, I think my Discord is robot. Everyone is a robot to me. Yeah.
Police.
Oh. Huh. Let's see. Hang on, I'm gonna see if it comes back. Can I change the server where the call is actually? I may need to do that. Because wait, I think they can actually hear me, but I can't hear them for some reason. It's just a full robot situation. Huh. Oh, now I think the call's fully dead. Now I can't hear anything. I don't think. Yeah, that's it. That's it, guys. Tea time's over. See you later. Hang on. All cameras except yours. Yeah, I know. That's because I'm in a call with them. Hang on. Let me try and bring this back, guys. Give me one moment. Hang on, what I'm gonna do is I don't want to show my Discord, so I'm gonna hide all these real quick. Let's see if we can do something about this. Where's the last Discord? Right, there we go. Hang on. Well, oh god, the call's crashing now. Oh boy. Aha! Wait. Hang on. Ah! Oh?
We back?
Oh! There we go! I think we're back! Hello?
Hello?
Aha! I think we have
Nike,
returned.
you look different.
Yeah, Nike's he's changed his appearance a little bit. There we go. There you go. Yeah, we're just getting DDoS. It's QT again, guys. Like, seriously, they just won't stop. There we go. We've been joined by we got rid of Nike and we've brought on Chipotle Mexican Grill instead. So, what are your thoughts on the conversation we're just having with regards to tryharding in raids? Is that something that you do at your restaurants?
Oh yeah, gotta have the best guac.
Yeah. Is that like a term for DPS? Like the bet?
Yeah. You have to have chunky guac.
Dude, you're gonna go out of business because nobody's gonna use that food anymore. Everybody's gonna use Ritz.
Oh yeah, it's true. People don't eat stuff; they just eat a piece of paper instead. That's right. Yeah.
Fortune cookie.
Yeah. But anyway, going back to that, yeah, it's gotta be player set goals, guys. Because we need people in raids, okay, and we need raids to be relatively low. But in fact, I think right. No, this is controversial. This is something that
I think there needs to be something for the tryhards, though. You can't just say everything is self-motivation. You can't say for 3 years in a row all you have to do is self-motivate. You have to do something.
That's Guild Wars 2, dude. That's Guild Wars 2.
That is the shittiest comment I've ever That is the
dude, it's been number
one stereotypical.
It's always been like that, though.
Whenever you complain about raid difficulty, the first answer you get is, "Oh, but Guild Wars 2 is a casual game. Deal with it." The second answer you get is, "Now you know what World versus World players feel like." Fucking sick of those answers. Like, no, they should put out some challenge modes. Challenge modes are the answer. I
really think it's so easy to implement too, like repeatable CMs on the old bosses and shit.
Put in challenge modes on the old bosses that double their health. Make them like a monthly achievement that gives you, 20, 30 mystic coins or something?
Add a unique coin to buy Raid God.
Well,
and you don't have to make the entire raid hard as fuck. You don't have to make them terribly hard so nobody can clear them anymore, but you have to do something for the tryhards to stay interested. Otherwise, they're going to go away. And that's what all the tryhards are doing right now. All the tryhards are going away.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's definitely true. I think having repeatable CMs are definitely necessary, but the trouble is that when that happens, you'd eventually get so good at the CMs, you'd probably feel the same way. In fact, I think we're almost at that point anyway. If you did CMs every week, it would take probably, I don't know, like less than a month, and they'd be as easy as normal mods. There are so many ways to do them very consistently.
The thing is that will eventually always happen, right? But is that the solution? You just let them be shit, like you just let them become bad.
I don't think we can complain about lack of repeatable CMs if we're gonna make fun of the people who ask for an easy mode. Like the people that ask for an easy mode, we laugh at them and say that the raids are already easy. Like maybe raids aren't for you if you think the current raids are too hard. And it's like it is. I enjoy going to the forums and reading those posts because they're hilarious. But like you can't also then say, well, we need harder content. Like it's the same argument, just in reverse.
I think an easy mode would be fine, by the way. I think I'm absolutely in favor of that. If you put in an easy mode and give me like hard modes
easy mode
as well,
is the rest of the game.
Make the easy mode. No, the easy mode can be all about lore. Raids have interesting lore. People want to see that. I understand that point. Absolutely. I wanted to go into Wing 2 because of lore reasons as well. The final cutscene was a big deal to me when that came out. I wanted to see that. I absolutely see what people want to see.
I think the lore in Rage is the best lore in the game, honestly.
If you just want to see a boss because he looks cool or something, maybe you're. I don't care. Just don't make it rewarding. Don't give it any rewards, obviously. But sure, I don't mind an easy mode.
Yeah. And this is a conversation we've had before, and a really interesting one we had on stream actually when Nike was around. I think that the barrier to entry on raids, if we want raids to see more development, and I think we could, then I think the barrier to entry needs to be removed completely, so that basically almost everyone can experience raids. I think it should be the case, and whether you make it.
Well, they're not going to experience raids. They're going to experience the story. They're going to experience the story instance. They're not going to experience raids.
That's the same thing.
Because the raid experience is the difficulty.
That's the same thing, though. For a lot of the player base of Guild Wars 2, the experience actually is the story. The raid experience is the story. It is the environment and the bosses and what you see and stuff like that. And yeah, I think one of the reasons we have to wait so long between raid wings, I mean, it's probably going to end up as... Wait, what is it going to end up as? Like 10 months? Probably, because we're going to see it in October, I think. Wait, is that actually... That's more like 11 months.
No, it should be like September.
You think September?
Next Living Story. Because what did it came out? It came out like in May, right? So 4 months would be September.
Okay, all right. So okay, fine. So it's probably September, that sort of thing then. So either way, it's going to be a pretty long ass time since between raids. I think a lot of that is because of some issues with player engagement, right? I think the player base needs to be.
Last Living Story was June 26th. I take it all back.
Yeah. Get right.
Thing is, I'm interested
game's
in the
dead. I take it all back. It's over.
I'm interested in how many people do fractals compared to raids, because in my opinion, like fractals are way harder to get into than raids. And you keep talking about like the wall to get into raids. I don't see it.
The fractals have a deal wall, right?
The wall is mostly 10 people.
Raids, right?
It's 10 people, and I think fractals, except CMs, are just way easier.
But fractals have an actual gate to get in. You actually have to have ascended armor. You have to have agony infusions and all that stuff. And we kind of saw that in the recent Welcome to Guild Wars 2 thing. A lot of players wanted to see fractals, and I actually wanted to show a lot of people fractals myself. And it kind of also what a lot of people forget is that if you don't have anybody in your group who can open a high-level fractal, that you still have to unlock these. It's actually not extremely easy to immediately go into like the challenge modes or something. I see like the really cool fractals. Like you could see when Lazy Pion started running fractals, he could only access the really low level fractals. He went in there. He was absolutely underwhelmed, I believe. But he looked like he was very underwhelmed because it was very, very easy.
Isn't that the point though? That's the point of fractals. It's a bit of a difficulty ramp. I don't necessarily
but if
see
scale
a problem
very well,
with it.
But I do think Deaxon is right in that regard. That they have an entry barrier. You have to have gear. You have to infuse your stuff. You have to unlock a mastery to be able to attune your rings.
To get value out of it, yeah.
It's actually like when I started doing fractals, I had to still grind these mist shards. Or whenever I would go on a Twink account and try to get him fracked already, I would have to like farm these stupid shards.
Yeah,
for a really long
that
time.
is that is certainly true. I do completely agree with that, and maybe that should be looked at. But then again, it's just like you can kind of get all those things on your own. Or if you want to get into Rage, you're going to need 10 people, right?
Friends?
And I mean, Guild Wars 2 is very often played as a solo game. That's something that we need to respect, actually. And although the idea of that is probably a little odd to us, I mean, that kind of the whole point in an MMO to me is playing with friends, right? To a good chunk of people, it's very much a solo experience, I think. And that lends itself a lot better to fractals, I think. Especially, you know, like, I don't know, like, I think people are very familiar with doing the fractals, and also like the tactics aren't as relevant. Like if you do fractals quite slowly, you'll kind of get there in the end, right? Like the bosses are very
there's
easy.
no chance of failure.
Yeah, like you aren't going to fail. Whereas in raids, you can easily like wipe for hours if you're inexperienced, right? And you don't really know what the hell's going on. You'll get wrecked. So there is that on top of that, and the 10-player thing is a legitimate issue, right? Like it's way easier to find 4 guys than 9 guys. You know, that's just true. Especially if you might then need you need all of these people to coordinate it, and one of them can fuck you as well, right? Now, in Fractals, that's not really as much. Like, it is kind of the case that you can screw over your team in Fractals, but it's not as much the case, right?
I actually wonder how crazy it must be in World of Warcraft, where you have like
40 vanilla WoW.
How do they even do that?
Be hype, dude. I mean, they don't do that anymore, right? Mythic's 20 now, so.
Most people are just getting carried.
I've said this, like I talked about this once in a long time ago, I think on TeaTime. But do you think more than 10-man raids ever?
I'd fucking love it. I think that'd be so cool. I would love 20-man raids.
That's just because you have a guild big enough to support it.
Yeah!
Every other guild would be dead.
I would love to see all the small little guilds to have to form alliances to go. Like, imagine Snowcross wants to go into the monthly 40-man raid, and they now have to ask all the other guilds to join them. Suddenly, all the drama, all these rivalries have to be dealt with because you need the other players to join your raids.
But the rivalry is good, in my opinion, right? It's better to be competitive.
Oh yeah, no. I'm just saying. Think about the thing. Just imagine.
Rivalry is great because it makes for really interesting Reddit posts.
Exactly.
When there's no
content. Yeah. You gotta have drama. Like, what are you gonna do without drama? It's no good.
You need content then.
Yeah. And chat did talk about this. A lot of the reason why raids feel a little stale and a little too easy is because of the lack of pacing, right? It wouldn't feel nearly this bad and nearly this drained if there were constantly new challenges to overcome, like a new challenge mode, a new raid release. And that's kind of really key in this sort of PvE game mode, right? Like, if you don't keep content coming, it feels incredibly stale because all you do all day is practice the same bosses over and over again. You get better and better and better, and it just becomes totally trivial very, very quickly. That's the nature of raids, guys. That's just how it is, right? That's not a criticism of ArenaNet in particular. No matter how hard you try, like, eventually everything's going to be easy, right? Like, you're going to get used to it.
Progression is the most fun part of raiding.
Absolutely.
Whether you're a new player just getting into it super late, or if you're progressing it for world first, like, it's the best part. But that comes every 10 months.
Every 6 months, a new raid would be amazing, absolutely amazing. But I'm thinking that what becomes stale at first is like once everybody knows the mechanics, right? Mechanics are like your original incentive to like have fun in raids, right? Go into a raid, you don't know the mechanics, you figure it out. That's your progression, and that's what makes it fun, right? And eventually, you'll have figured out all of these, and then I think makes it fun, what makes it stay fun, is if you then actually have to do rotations, and then DPS comes into play. And this is why I'm such an advocate for challenge modes that don't actually like add mechanics or anything. I want a challenge mode that only makes the numbers harder, that makes you have to do DPS, because you're going to get used to the mechanics again, but you're going to have to the DPS stays kind of relevant until eventually a balance patch comes along and maybe messes it all up.
Yeah. And yeah, that's a great solution. If they did add a repeatable CM like that did require you to be better at the game and did kind of lock out a certain amount of people, I think that would be great.
At the same time, I think that's the kind of CM that wouldn't cost so many resources to implement, right? Because I'm not asking for crazy new mechanics to be developed. I'm basically asking for numbers to be adjusted.
Yeah.
And
That's what
I'm not a
I'm
developer
saying.
myself, but I don't see that has the same workload as maybe what DoomCM, like adding a AI that runs around the room, would do.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that will be a really good solution, I think, and that kind of alleviates a lot of the issues regarding the replayability of the content if it was in some way rewarding as well. If it sorts you out with, I don't know, some like free asset materials like Mystic Coins, as you were saying. Like, again, like, this is a common topic, guys. Like, maybe it'll be implemented in the next raid wing. We really should hold our tongues until that happens. But you know what would really help, though? Maybe a little bit of communication. Maybe ArenaNet lets us know. Repeatable CM's coming soon, guys. Yeah, I don't know. It might be pretty interesting. Keep the raid scene at bay. Otherwise, we're very toxic. We might start going crazy. So I don't know. That will be.
People might go inactive. Oh.
Yeah. Well. I mean, that's already happened, and to a certain extent, that's not really that important for ArenaNet's bottom line. I mean, let's be honest here. And also, do you know what? I reckon ArenaNet know this. Okay. Like right, ArenaNet. I see you. They know that everyone's going to come back, right, for the next raiding, because there's no sub fee. They honestly, I kind of feel like they don't really care that much if people take a break or say, well, fuck it, like no raids, I'm done, because they know everyone's going to come back anyway, right? It was even when QT were like, yeah, we're throwing in the towel, that's it, guys, like let's go play something else. Obviously they came back, right, and now that they're obviously going to play in the next raid, and probably the one after that as well. People take breaks, but you don't really quit. So like it happens. Like, So I think ArenaNet does. They're acutely aware of that. Like I don't think they're.
People do quit though. Yeah, they come back for like a couple of months, but like 1 or 2 months isn't enough to sustain a guild or something. It's the scene ultimately. It's not like a good way to sustain a proper end game.
Well,
Like every guild right now struggles. All the raid guilds struggle. Like there's no new players that come into these guilds.
That is true.
The best things
Look at
about
all the-
Guild Wars is also the worst things, right? Like that they don't care if you stick around. Like they don't want me to play the game. But if I did play the game 24/7, and if everyone played the game 24/7, like it'd probably be a bigger game.
Yeah. Certainly. I mean, certainly, if there was more focus on raids and more focus on, I would say
any
PvP,
repeatable content. I mean, honestly,
you're going to see certainly that the game would be bigger on Twitch, right? For example, which is something that is cared about with regards to Arena. It's true. What people like to watch raids, man. People actually like to watch raids on Twitch, and they like to watch PvP. World versus World. I think it could be good to watch, but it's a bit messy sometimes. Like I don't know.
I think it would be fun to watch. I had fun watching you when you played World vs. World. Every now and then I watch World vs. World run on Twitch. I think they're impractical to stream in a way because other people see you and they will like stream snipe you and stuff. It's like, from a tactical standpoint, I guess it probably kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But it's fun to watch. It's definitely fun to watch.
I just like you look at like the big streams on Twitch, and it's raids and high-end PvP. Like that's who gets the viewers. So why is it then that that's not who the game is developed for? Like it makes no sense to me why those aren't development priorities.
I think I sadly understand it. It's like if I look at the game right now, and I think this is like, for me personally, the game is kind of at a low right now because of this. But I see the game, and I think it's great for new players, right? A new player would have a great experience. There's tons of content for new players. Even if you just play the story for beginners, you're gonna have like a week or two of gameplay and stuff, right? And then like getting into raids, for a new player, it's absolutely awesome. But for like a veteran, it isn't. But like it makes so much sense for them to like in a money way, basically, right? To develop for new players rather than for veterans. To make stuff that is like they're putting all their focus on open world maps, right? Because open world maps are immediately accessible to a new player.
well, okay.
They don't interest a veteran really, or like a try-hard veteran. Like they don't I don't care about them a lot. I play them for like a week and then I go away.
Thought experiment. If nobody streamed raids, none of us hardcore elitists existed, would the game still prosper? Would there still be? Yeah, probably.
Right. Okay.
There'd be trickle
Not
down
on Twitch. Like you'd see a lot of like there'd be like, look at Guild Wars 1. There's like 5 streams at any given time, and they all have 4 viewers. Like that's just what it is. That's what Guild Wars 2 would be right now. if there wasn't raids or PvP.
I'm gonna slam this, okay? I actually think that if all of the elitists kind of vanished off the face of the earth for all game modes, I'd say with regards to PvP, World versus World, and PvE, I actually think that the actual population of the game and the state of the game would probably not change that much because
I agree.
I actually kind of think so too.
We don't matter.
we don't matter, man.
People would forget the game exists. Like people would literally forget the game exists.
It might not grow, but I don't know if it would really shrink.
It would shrink at the same rate it's shrinking now, only it wouldn't get replenished every big patch. Like
fair enough.
It would pretty much stay exactly as it is.
I certainly think when something relatively big would happen, well, for example, whenever you have a new raid release, I think it would the game gets a good chunk of publicity through there, or stuff like various PvP tournaments. For example, like Jebro's tournament got up to 2K viewers, something like that, like 1.5K, something like that. I don't exactly remember. Like raid tournament got a shit ton of viewers, right? That sort of thing. And like it was actually crazy. Like after the raid tournament, there was actually a noticeable increase in viewership from everyone on Twitch after that sort of thing, right? And like some people actually did come back to the game over it. So there is. It does matter sometimes, but the thing is that's fairly infrequent thanks to the way the content releases are, right? And if PvP was more of a scene, you could certainly get more out of that, but that is fairly stale right now. Like quite a lot of the personalities have stopped. Like you don't really see the most obvious one would be Syndra. You don't really see Syndra streaming anymore. Like there are some reasons for that, but let's not go into it, right? It's meme-tastic, okay? But stuff like when Jebro will start running his tournaments again soon, so that will get some more value out of the Twitch. So maybe I was being a little cynical there. I don't think that we don't matter at all, but
the events. I think the events really matter.
The
but
events
overall,
are important, right?
Overall, I think honestly, Guild Wars 2 Twitch is already not big at all on the broader scheme of games. If you compare it to like World of Warcraft or like even I think even Lineage is like a way more viewed game. Most games are, in fact, way more viewed on Twitch. So it's already not really great. Like,
I guess like my counterpoint to that is like the partner program wouldn't exist if these things didn't matter. If like YouTube and Twitch and whatever didn't matter. And believe me, the partner program has caused them more than a few headaches over the course of the last couple of years, like in terms of problems that have come up. And it wouldn't be worth their time to manage it. Like there's people that work for ArenaNet whose whole job is to manage the partner program. Like they're paying someone to do that. Like obviously there's some return on investment to that. Like if Twitch and YouTube and all that didn't matter, they would just not have the partner program whatsoever. But they must feel that it raises the profile of the game.
Yeah.
Like from a dollar.
I think it definitely does. That's for sure.
100%.
Having that dialogue, I think, especially around on having YouTube, like when you search for this, you find the dank roaming montage, or you find some kind of guide video. Yeah, it absolutely does, and you can see that build guides in particular get a lot of views on YouTube. Like they're very popular. Like, that you can get hundreds of thousands of views.
All the art they commission really grows the scene. That's for sure.
Well, I don't know, dude. I think the art's pretty cool, actually. I think that sort of thing.
Oh, it's cool.
Really,
Sure.
I think
people really
way
like to tweet
underrated.
out.
It's way bigger a meme than it should be. Like the art streamers.
Yeah, it was just me.
One of the things everybody knows about outside of Guild Wars 2 is not about the raids, it's not about content, but people know about arts, they know about the music and stuff, and they know about like Pretty Little Quaggins.
So in regards to the art,
so if we add Pretty Little Quaggins to raids, will that scene grow?
Ooh.
Oh boy. Next raid encounter.
Underwater raids, please.
Quaggin. Oh my
so in regards to like all the art streams, like ArenaNet would be, I guess we can say it. ArenaNet will put anyone's stream who's in the partner program on their channel if you ask. But the problem is, like, you kind of have to, like, chat has to be handled a little bit differently than most people's streams, and it has to be PG or PG-13 at most. Like, so it's just not like, so most streamers aren't gonna bother with it, and therefore as a result, you only end up with art streams because that's the only people who can like handle the restrictions that puts in place. Yeah. So it's not like ArenaNet's like only asking for artists to be on their channel. They would be happy to put a PvPer on there if they asked, but no PvPer wants to like jump through those hoops.
You know what I want to see on Guild Wars 2 channel? I want to see angels.
I knew that you would say that.
I want to see angels solo queue, late night preferably. Okay, hosted on Guild Wars 2 channel. Okay, honestly, Jaw will be pretty good too. Actually, okay, yeah, sometimes there's a little bit of spice. Okay, on that stream, I think that would be terrific. Okay, that would be great. Or you know what? What would be even better? Okay. Will be like me playing with Salt in World Versus World. Okay, let's never have that on that channel. Otherwise, I'm getting kicked. Okay, that's not gonna happen. I think honestly, I'm being a bit cynical. Honestly, we are the pillars of the community, guys. Okay, right? We got the 4 strong pillars of the world here holding it up. So yeah, I think there's something to be said for the community's contribution to this sort of thing. Guild Wars 1. Here we go.
Here we go.
Yeah, here we go. Are you gonna do some repeatable endgame content here?
Repeatable endgame content.
Yeah. Okay.
Look at there's people here in this zone. It's like populated. Look at that. Everyone's here. There's like pugs forming. The game's alive, guys.
Whoa!
It's more alive than I thought it would be.
Come back.
Yeah.
Well,
Fending
Guild Wars
in.
2 is dead because the developers take too much time on Guild Wars 1?
Can I just throw out there real quick that the community that's keeping Guild Wars 1 alive after like 7 years of no patches or anything is the tryhard PvE community? So that's like the most represented community that's still playing this game after years of discontinuation, basically.
And that will be the case with Guild Wars 2. In any game, you'll always have the most tryhard people left over at the end. The people who are really invested in the game. That's how it goes.
Yeah, so maybe give them some content every now and then. Maybe.
But then again, Guild Wars 2 is a slightly different game. I would say Guild Wars 2 is a much more casual-orientated game. And that's why I said that maybe like if all the elitists go away, it doesn't matter so much. If all the elitists go away, like does the participation in raids really change that much? Probably not so much. Because I was like even in raids, like most of the players play through it very casually. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's just the case.
Yeah, the difference is Brazilian guilds will get worlds first.
Yeah.
Instead of Snow Crows.
Exactly.
That's all that would change.
Yeah. I play Guild Wars 2 for 3 weeks now and I love it. Welcome. Okay. You're in. Okay. But it's good. I don't know. Where are we going with this, by the way? Where are we going with this? We're kind of like getting very sad about our own irrelevance. Okay, it feels bad, man. We are relevant. Okay, guys. We're delusional elitists. Okay, got to band together. Okay, got to make.
No, not say irrelevant. Just too much.
Well, okay, right.
Like nobody should like go out there and think like, oh, if I go away, the game's gonna be dead.
The game's
this
dead.
Particular sites, if this particular guild stops, it's gonna die. It's not the case. It's not gonna get better, obviously, but it's not dying. Yeah.
It is interesting though. If all the tryhards went away, do you think there would be more raids? Like if suddenly every elitist in the game just vanished, do you think there would still be raids? They'd bother to release raids?
I'm not even sure there's still going to be raids. Like Brazil has kind of convinced me that this is the last raid wing. Well, like, this one coming is it.
No, I don't know about that.
Will not have raids as part of the end game.
They've already started working on Wing 7 though, but I do almost buy into the not being any raids in the next expansion though, and that actually does scare me a little bit. But yeah, I do almost buy that actually. I have to say.
They're just gonna go fractals are our end-game content, and we're gonna expand fractals to like level 200.
Hardcore raiders might not even buy the next expansion with the current raids. So
they'll buy it for the elite specs. The elite specs will make a new expansion worth having for $30. Come on. Elite. I paid $30 right now for 9 new elite specs. Like, just put them on the gem store.
Have a hype actually. Well, I mean, I'm ready for new elite specs. Let's go.
Put raids on the gem store.
Right. Oh,
it's gonna be every 4 months.
Yeah. But this is why. Okay. Right. It is up to the community in a lot of ways. Okay. We need to get our act together and make sure that as many people can do raids as possible. Right. Because the more people that do raids, okay, the more worthwhile it is for ArenaNet to develop raids. Because that's fresh content, okay? Make them as repeatable as possible. Easy content. Integrate it into the story more. Let everyone do them, okay? And you know what? Nike is in Guild Wars 1 right now. Let's add heroes to the game.
What else do you think Guild Wars 1 could, like...
That would be crazy.
Let's go.
What Guild Wars 1 things do you think there are that could be implemented into Guild Wars 2 and be good?
I legitimately think that the way you could implement easy mode is just have NPCs do it for you.
Well,
Seriously, I'm not even
You
joking.
mean for like raids to have?
You
like,
think I'm
heroes?
joking? I said this on the last tea time. I got really hyped up about it. Imagine you go into a raid. Casimir is there for some reason. She's chrono tank, gives quickness and alacrity. Okay, boom. Okay, but they've also got like really OP buffs. I don't know, like Ritlock is there. Okay, but he permanently reduces the damage you take by 99%, so the boss can't kill you. Easy, right? He also does 1,000,000 DPS. Instantly destroys the boss. You're just there sitting there for a ride.
That would honestly, like as you said earlier, one of the biggest gates to raids is the 10-man requirement, right? That would actually solve the problem.
Yeah, seriously. I'm not sure how difficult that would be. That's the only thing that I'm worried about, right?
Never make that a thing in actual raids, though. For an easy mode.
Yes, no, not for normal
Easy
mode, but for easy mode.
I don't ever want to say in an actual raid, oh, we're 9 people, I'll just bring a hero.
No. Yeah. You would just go into easy mode and you can take as many people as you want, right? And then give incentive with gear progression, make raid gear. No, I don't think so. Like raid gear is already really, really strong. I don't think gear progression is necessary. I think gear progression would really turn a lot of people off from the game. Actually, it would annoy me actually, and I do a lot of raids.
Gear progression.
The Guild Wars 1 reward system was just better. That's what is the big difference, I think. Like Guild Wars 1, like you run a dungeon, like with heroes casually, it takes you like 45 minutes to do, and you get like 1 plat, which is like, I don't know, like 6 gold in Guild Wars 2. Like it's 45 minutes for 6 gold. Like no one would do it, but you get to roll the dice on the chest and get a 1 out of 1,000 chance of getting like an ultra rare skin that you can sell and now be rich enough to buy like Fissure of Woe armor, like insanely like lotto tickets, like the Chak infusion level of rarity, but just as a raid drop. Like that's that. Yeah, like HRT metas were sort of that, but like each dungeon in Guild Wars 2, each of the vanilla dungeons should have had an extremely rare drop from one of the end bosses. Like extremely rare, like 1 out of like, I don't know, 100,000 runs will drop one, but there's no time gate to it. So you could just run SE Path 3 1,000 times
you mean,
a day.
The recipes that are bugged?
Yeah, except who cares about the recipes? Make it like an actual badass skin that people would really want.
I like that idea. Yeah, skins are the Doom Bench went the right direction, I think.
Like in Guild Wars 1, the Bone Dragon staff, like they're worth a shit ton, and it's not because they have better stats. It's just because it's rare as hell. Like, and people want them because it's how you pimp your character out. Like you could do the same in Guild Wars 2, but I mean,
exactly. You need to have something unique and that you can't get anywhere else, and then people will go for it. And I think that's kind of all the motivation you need. But I also do think that it should be mixed in with an easier mode as well. I do kind of think that although at one point I would have certainly said the easy mode isn't necessary, I do think that adding truly exclusive rewards that you can't buy with gold, which is basically, is really important, or having them extremely rare, as Nike was saying, is
I really
very
think Raid
important.
God would be good.
Raid God, yeah, absolutely. But
For every game mode, honestly.
Yeah, every game mode God. Yeah, why not, right? Just for grinding out a certain number of raid kills or whatever. I mean, or I don't know, you need 3,000 legendary insights and you can trade it in and become raid God as well. I don't know. Why not?
I would go for it.
Imagine if like the Doom Bench, you couldn't buy it with raid currency. Like the only way to get it was the random drop.
Oh yeah.
Think about how much that would be worth. Like it would be worth like still like 8K, 9K, if not more.
I would actually agree with that, and I think actually because Chad has been saying like make them unsellable. I actually think that sellability of these items
makes it worth doing repeatedly. Yeah.
That makes them. I don't know. I think it's really cool if I have that option. If I could have the high gold drop.
Like imagine Matthias staff, but you couldn't buy it with magnetite. It only came as a drop, and then you could sell it on the trading post. That would probably be 1,000 gold, if not more, and it would feel fucking great when one dropped for you, like amazingly great. And it would be amazing. it would just be like the best feeling ever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
you also have to
yeah.
not make it a weekly reward at that point. Like make it like you can kill Matthias however many times, or maybe you have to do the whole wing from beginning to end. Like you can't like just zone into Matthias and kill Matthias. But there's a way to make it so it's rare, but still like encourage you to do the raid more than once a week. I don't know. I think like a drop
honestly,
like Matthias staff should be prestigious. Like Matthias staff should be like, oh my god, you got a Matthias staff.
Yeah, it's very rare.
Like that's amazing.
Yeah.
And then or maybe like Matthias staff like that, but you can't. The skin doesn't get added to your wardrobe, so it's like you can't just give it to every character. Like if you want 4 of your characters to get Matthias staffs, you need 4 Matthias staffs because they don't get added to your wardrobe. Like that would just be amazing.
Let's talk about a little bit of the replayability then. So, when it comes to implementing a way to make raids farmable, right? Do you think that the true solution is just as you were saying to do a bit of a full rework and make it more like Guild Wars 1, make it just completely repeatable and you can just farm it as much as you want, or is there some way we could melt it in with the current system in some way? Maybe like by increasing, like, I don't know, making it, do they drop way more champ bags or something? 'Cause I mean, that's something at least.
It's
right?
really flawed, but like the dungeon frequenter achievement, where you just do so many bosses and you get like 5 gold. If it wouldn't be 5 gold.
You kill so many bosses, then you get some kind of chest that has a chance to drop anything from raids that you've killed.
Like, so here's my idea: you keep everything the way it currently is, except you get rid of the exotic drops from the bosses because those are just killing the economy. Actually, like Force Sigil would be like 15 gold right now if it wasn't for those exotic drops from raids. But so get rid of the exotic drops, keep everything how it is. But the last raid boss of each wing drops very rarely an RNG badass item, whether it be a Ghostly Infusion or a Doom Bench or a Matthias Staff or a Zera Scepter. And you make that particular drop not weekly gated. Like that's like you can clear it as many times as you want and to farm for it. Like that would, and then so you still have the current system where you still get a bit of gold, you get your currency to buy the other stuff, but on top of that you have like this thing that you can repeat to hopefully get a lotto ticket for a rare, amazing, prestigious skin.
Yeah, and that would then involve making a lot of these things unbuyable.
Yeah, don't make the Matthias staff buyable with magnetite in that case.
Yeah.
Don't even make it ascended. Make it legendary.
Whoa! Oh, wow! Now that I don't. Oh, ooh, that might be a bit too far. That would be amazing. No. Imagine if you could get a legendary drop from raids. That would actually be insane. Now, I'll tell you what. This man is a clever boy. Okay. Now that would get people raiding. That's for sure. Actually, damn.
Or maybe you get it as an ascended, but there's a way to upgrade it to legendary. Maybe I can use my fucking 11,000 magnetite shards to buy a gift of raiding that will upgrade my Matthias staff to a badass legendary staff. Like maybe there's a use.
That would actually be crazy. That would be really, really cool. Nice. Legendary, some kind of legendary drop.
And then you have to like combine it with an item that you get for doing Changaren like 700 times.
I've already done that. Easy.
Yeah, and you basically got legendary armor. There we go.
Yeah. Huh. And that's certainly a way we could do it. That might be very difficult to actually execute, though, I suppose. But I don't know. So I don't know. It really depends how hard a lot of this will be to implement, because I think ArenaNet are unwilling to do like a full rework, which is kind of what that would require, and we don't know how difficult that will be to execute. But these are certainly all good ideas, guys. Legendary drops.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I'm so curious how much of development is based on like making new assets and shit, or how much of it is just tweaking numbers, because like Roca was saying, like there's so much easy stuff they could do to old bosses that would give it more replayability and stuff. And it's just kind of a shame that doesn't exist already. Yeah.
I don't think it would be a really interesting conversation to have. I'd love to talk to the devs about how hard it would be to create a challenge moat for a boss that exists already.
Yeah.
And not necessarily just an HP increase. I'm not talking about just an
Or
HP.
adding Ender's Echo to another boss.
Yeah,
for a week.
yeah.
I'm really curious.
I feel like an
Or
HP
soul, but
increase
you
is
can't
pretty
destroy the
easy.
orbs. You can't destroy the
Yeah.
orbs
Yeah.
that spawn around the arena.
I mean, that wouldn't
And
actually
then,
that wouldn't be that hard, I guess. But...
Yeah, okay, but you also increase his HP.
Oh.
Like
So you got to move him around the arena a bit. Then I think stuff like I don't know. I actually had a conversation with a guy about challenge modes for old bosses, and the Veil Guardian one was pretty interesting. Like imagine when you in the split phase when you kill the Guardians, right? They don't actually die, and they keep fighting you the entire time. So by the end of the fight, you just have like this massive amount of Guardians chasing you down, and they all summon extra greens as well. And it actually works out pretty well because it means that every player would have to be in a green, right? Because it'll be 3, 3, and 4 because like 4 people have to be in the main green and 3 people have to be in the other 2 greens. So it could actually work, and you could have like all these Guardians running around, slightly pulsing damage on you, increasing the pressure, and everyone has to do all the mechanics. I
actually had that talk as well with people about.
Yeah, I just wonder how difficult it would be to implement the CM part of it, right? As opposed to a brand new boss.
I assume for like if you want like big mechanical changes like this, I think it's probably a lot of effort. To put that in.
Yeah, something like Sabbath CM. This is actually a good idea. I actually like this. I like this idea a lot for a Sabbath CM. Just have the flame wall on the entire time.
Somebody suggested to me once that you could like you'd have to kill Sabbatha, but you cannot kill the officers. Like you cannot kill the champions. So you'd have to like find a way to kite them to the side or something. Give them like an aggro mechanic or something, and make somebody have to kite them to the side so you don't accidentally kill them.
And you have to constantly CC Knuckles the entire fight.
Exactly,
well.
and stuff like this. You always have flamethrowers at the end. You always have like the current shots that you have to deal with. But like probably add like an entire new tank roll to the fight and stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of. It will be really interesting to know if they could do that as well, because that would certainly be good to tide people over, right? Because I imagine a lot of the effort certainly goes into modeling the new raid wing. If you look at the environments for the raids, they're extremely detailed, right? Very, very detailed. Look at Forsaken Thicket, and I would say Wing 5 especially Hall of Chains. It's an incredibly detailed, and there's a lot of complicated new assets that they put into making these raid wings. So I imagine that's a good chunk of development time, especially for developing a lot of animations as well. That's probably very, a big bulk of the work. Pretty tricky. Okay, but I don't know. It would be. I wonder if.
Then you also ended at the same time. You ended up with so many reused models as well, right? You had the Eye of Zaitan, you had the Mouth of Zaitan. Yeah. I think you had like.
But that's good.
Mental boss. You had Necro Flesh Golems as boss mechanics. Yeah. You had Halloween Skeletons as boss mechanics.
Like, I wonder how much time went into the Wing 4 cutscene at the end with telling the Saul story. Like, it was amazing. Like, it was like the best ending. It was a great story. But you just get the impression like we could have had the raid like 2 months earlier if this didn't exist. Like,
but I do think a cool cutscene like this at the end does add a lot. Like especially after Doom, if you like recall the feeling of first time killing Doom, that was pretty cool. Doom was one that took a while to progress on.
Yeah.
And the first time killing it and getting that amazing cutscene, that was pretty cool.
Okay, maybe keep the post Deimos cutscene, but get rid of the Samurag cutscene.
No, that was good. That was great.
We can say, yeah, it was great the very first time, but it was like a complete waste of resources. Like maybe whichever person did that, like it was just a complete waste.
Well, that's the thing. Like, why don't we just get other raid wings like on top of the ones with great story and cutscenes and new assets, and just like have good bosses that don't take as long to develop?
Okay, what if we just completely skip the modeling and you just fight a gray cube that fires spheres?
I'd do it, dude. I'd fight a fucking.
Some people wouldn't mind
if it came out every 6 months with new mechanics. I don't give a shit. In the end, it's cool. It's awesome if the boss looks cool. But if I could get like bosses like every 6 months or something, I wouldn't mind how they look.
Like CM99 is basically 100%, besides the boss models, reused assets, and the arenas are small and don't have like a ton of detail. Like, that's fine. Everyone's happy with that.
Yeah, I think 100 CM was incredibly well received. In fact, it might not be the most played content though, so that is something that is worth noting, right? Yeah.
No, somebody said dungeons in chat. I have one more idea.
Oh yeah, you want to talk about dungeons?
Actually, I had this one crazy
I
idea.
could
Maybe
do
it's
that.
absolute garbage, right? But maybe it could be interesting. Who knows, you know? But I really like the concept of vanquishing in Guild Wars 1, and I felt like maybe that could have a space in dungeons in Guild Wars 2. Like, basically full clear and get more loot or something, get some special reward.
Well, I've thought about this, right? Like, what if we got like a big dungeon, like a Rivalry expansion, and it doesn't have to be like explorable paths, right? It could just be a giant open, essentially an open world map, except
Yeah,
instance.
and
Like an
I've
Elite
seen that.
Zone
I've seen that
instance?
in Guild Wars 1 actually. Like, there's an entire they're like players who specialize in vanquishing and stuff, right? Who people figure out the best routes, how to make it like to be really good at it, at vanquishing stuff. And people could totally do that in Guild Wars 2, I think. Like, become like a really try-hard vanquisher in dungeons. Figure out exactly where you have to go to grab aggro, where the best LOS spots, stuff like that.
I'm not sure if we're gonna see any reworks of dungeons. I don't want to
Yeah.
be. I don't
They're
want to
too-
rain on the
the
parade.
code is too broken and it's too
Yeah.
I don't think they should
exploitable.
be reworked, but I don't see why we don't get new ones. Nobody would.
They
be
would have to
mad.
make them. They'd have to make them really linear, like fractals, like where there's one way you can go, one path, can't jump over walls, like can't exploit through gates. Like it would have to be like fractals if they were going to do new dungeons. And at that point, it's like, well, why aren't they just fractals then?
Yeah.
Well, because fractals are flawed.
So
Well-
our
well-
dungeons, unfortunately.
Because I want
Yeah.
something where I don't have to puke from instabilities.
Instabilities are fun. They add so much to the game.
Yeah, so
Like,
much
it'd be
makes the
really
game.
cool
They're
if
amazing.
fractals just focused on the CMs, and we got dungeons for more casual content.
Dude,
Do
instability.
you like instability, CPOT? Sorry.
Instability. I don't. I mean, some of them are annoying, but I don't think they're a particularly big deal. They're pretty, whatever.
Do you
You
think
don't
they
notice them
have
if you
to
bring
work
like a
well?
healer.
Sorry, Roca. I didn't quite hear.
Oh no, sorry. I mean, it's an old topic.
I
It's
mean,
not really.
they're kind of aids. The only one that is truly aids is social awkwardness. Like, all than that, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's whatever. Doesn't matter that much. Just squish everything anyway. Just do that big damage, big DPS. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, I don't know. Fractals are probably where we're going to see the development for the 5-man content. I think that's fine as well. I think it's a really good way of doing it. They're kind of bite size and they're very simple, right? In dungeons, I think people will be like, "What the fuck?"
I'm just trying to think of like easy ways for them. Like, I understand that they don't want to put like massive amounts of development into that stuff, but like vanquishing a dungeon, I would actually want to really like hear somebody who is a developer tell me how much effort that would be. How much effort would it be to just add a mob counter to a dungeon, like in Guild Wars 1, and like add a little reward at the end? How much? Like, are there like big design issues that I'm missing? Is that like really hard to implement?
Do you think it would? Do you think that would? Do you think you get value out of that though? Do you think it would bring a lot of people back to dungeons?
I think it would. I think it would gain some incentive.
Well,
I think so. Some people argue that all it takes is any attention to dungeons at all to get people back interested to them.
Yeah,
like
just
any
kill off the
attention
community.
whatsoever.
Dungeon is still fun.
Like, people are saying even like some bug fixes would get people's attention to. I'm not necessarily agreeing with that, but I think if they made it somewhat rewarding, I think that would be a fun way to recycle dungeons in a way. A very easy way. A very easy way. You wouldn't have to remodel them. You wouldn't have to redo them. You wouldn't have to change all the mechanics. You wouldn't have to go through the spaghetti code. I think, then again, I would like to hear like a developer standpoint on this, whether it actually is easy or whether it's like really hard.
There's a lot. There is a lot of stuff that we would kind of need to talk to the developers about this stuff, because some of this we don't really understand what it would take to implement. And saying, there's some weird echo going on here. What the hell's going on? I'm spooked.
Frost is actually saying like a super good point here. I think one of the big dungeon selling points is that they don't have a limit to do daily. Like, I actually kind of think that like one thing that is kind of holding fractals back is the daily limit that you do them on. It's like you do your daily fractals and then you're done. Dungeons, you just did like everything. You did every dungeon.
Fractals are honestly still good rewards though, if you have God, at least.
Well, yeah. Well, if you have God, you get a lot more rewards,
Encryption
right?
sell for a ton.
I mean,
But how many
fractals
people
are
actually-
40
how many
minutes
people
of
actually go
daily
into-
content? Dungeons were 2 hours at least daily content. Like it's the time investment that makes it different. Like,
Well,
and,
this is
and
why
that's probably a good thing. But I mean, I personally wouldn't have time to do dungeons anymore, like to devote to it.
this is why it needs attention rather than a reward rework, though, right? Because dungeons are still good. If you do dungeons correctly, they're still very good money, correct?
Yeah.
So it's not that you can't do them. It's just people they're just very stale, right? And I think with the way that the game has progressed, that they're not as engaging as they were before. Like stuff like break bars, like make it a bit meme. So like,
I love doing dungeons, but like, it's not good. It's honestly not good content compared to like the new stuff they add.
It's a bit obsolete almost, I want to say, right? Because of the way the game has kind of power crept a bit, and with the changes to how crowd control works on mobs have made it a bit face rolly, a bit not the spiciest.
And like,
content
even
ever.
if you didn't, like, the bosses' designs themselves, besides a few, are like complete garbage. Like, a lot of the bosses are like these tiny little Asuras that have no tells and hit you for your entire health, like that, like, or like hit you for like 3/4 of your health bar with an auto attack. Like, this is not an engaging boss. These aren't mechanics. It's just trash. Like, thank God we can kill them fast, because they'd be annoying as hell if they weren't. Oh, wow, cool. Like, this boss that I can't even see his animations just hit me and downstayed. Great. SE Path 1.
Yeah,
like,
it's good. That's good. So I'm not sure if that's something that needs to be reworked.
Don't put
as
instabilities
such.
in them.
Instabilities in dungeons. Feels good, man. Yeah, that would be great. That would be wonderful. They need to put that in the game immediately. Just put it in raids as well. 10-man social awkwardness. That would be good shit. Okay, now that would be good. All right, like, come on, you can't deny that one. Yeah, I don't know.
If it was like the opposite of SA, maybe, and you had to stay in stack.
Oh, you got to. Ooh, that could be a boss mechanic. Because think about it, we've had something like Ken where you have to not stack. Just make it so so you have to stack. Okay, I'm sure everyone would be really mad. Oh no, they're making us stack now. Now we're in trouble. Like, we hate stacking in Guild Wars 2. That is rubbish. Okay, but no, I think that way. I don't know. I'm not sure about dungeons. I don't think they'll ever see any care. And I'm not even sure if it would be
I'm just thinking, what's a way to recycle them at this point? What's a not to fix them, not to make them
break down the
what's
assets for parts and make fractals out of them.
Pretty much.
That's the best thing you can do at this point.
I'm not sure
Like,
if it's necessary to
that will be fine.
I don't think you need to.
New 100 CM hard mode raw path 4, like with all redesigned new bosses.
At this point, I think it would take
awesome.
it would take more effort to recycle dungeons than just to create something from scratch. So I'm not sure.
No, just put the banquet. How much content do you think it would add if somebody had to actually kill Korga in a dungeon? That would be a try-hard goal.
Korga's not hard anymore.
I think people wouldn't do it anyway. Even if they added this, I don't think anyone would really care. Like, maybe people would care for like a few days, and then they just go back to AFK and Lion's Arch instead.
I mean, it was just an idea anyway. It was.
It's cool.
I have another idea to throw out.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
This might be a little bit more controversial, even.
Ooh.
And I'm not sure. Have I mentioned this on a previous TeaTime? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
GVGs.
Ooh.
Guild Wars 1 GVG in Guild Wars 2 Guild Halls. Go nuts.
I completely agree. I mean, if could they
redesign the guild halls?
I don't think they're gonna add a new. I don't think they're gonna.
I'm not saying are they gonna add it. I'm saying do you think it would work? Do you think it could work?
Yeah, I think you see this kind of with Stronghold, and I think Stronghold could be adapted into something like that. I could certainly see it working for sure. Yeah, sure. Why not? It could definitely work. Will it have a high uptake? I would be very skeptical, considering the current level of GVG activity in the game. If it was officially supported, I
found it very interesting that when I started Guild Wars 1 and I learned about what GVG is in Guild Wars 1, how different it is to the picture I had on GVG in Guild Wars 2. Like, when I think GVG in Guild Wars 2, all I kind of think about is like kind of 15 versus 15 fights in World versus World, or like in an arena, basically just a big team fight. And then in Guild Wars 1, it seemed to be so much more than that. Like, people had to like, I don't know, Nike, you were basically the person who like explained anything about this to me. So it's like all my source of knowledge. If I say anything wrong, it's Nike's fault.
It was like strategic and tactical depth, and your comp depth.
Yeah, you'd have
construction.
have to split up your group. You'd have multiple maps. You'd
Yeah,
have to,
and each
take
map
different
had like
objectives.
slightly different tactics that it favored versus others. Like there was a lot of depth to it, and that's why like Guild Wars 2 GVG is just there isn't the same depth. Like it's just
And I felt like Guild Wars 2 guild halls kind of offer for stuff like that. They're so huge. They have so much maybe tactical like ways to play around them. Like they have the guild hall has different entrances, different levels to it, right? You basically have 3 maps. Like it will probably take some effort on to turn them into like PvPable maps.
Stronghold could have been it. Stronghold should have been it. Like they should have invested more effort into making Stronghold what it needed to be.
I mean,
And that probably,
right?
I mean, okay, take the Stronghold map, make it 3 times as big, but make it 10 players per team or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Make it like a World v World size map with like, or maybe half the size of a World v World map, but 10 players per team. And then suddenly there's like a lot of strategic elements to it. But I mean, that's way beyond.
The key will be forcing the players to spread out. Really, the trouble with Guild Wars 2 is that if you have a lot of players stacked up, the gameplay becomes extremely fast, right? Whereas Guild Wars 1 rather was a lot more tactical because the game itself is a lot more slower paced. The way the combat system is much slower paced as opposed to Guild Wars 2, and that doesn't exactly favor very strategic big fights, right? In Guild Wars 2, it's all basically like you got to stand in the right place and you got to put your shit on the other guy, right? If you don't, well, then I guess you're dead. Whereas in Guild Wars 1, that's not the case. It's much more slower paced.
And I think a lot of stuff too, like players, what players want from games has changed in the last 13 years. Like the idea now of a PvP match going for 30 minutes, people would flip out at a 30-minute PvP match. Like, whereas that was very common in the GVG days. Like in Guild Wars 1, like we would play GVGs for like 5 hours and maybe get like 10 matches if you include downtime, if that, like maybe 8 matches in 5 hours. Like people wouldn't stand for that these days. Like it's not, people would be so bored of matches that went for 30 minutes, even though there was like a lot of tactical back and forth and like each game was like close. Like for a 30-minute GVG, it had to be a close game, but people are used to PvP matches that are over fast, and especially Stronghold, those games were over fast. Like I think ArenaNet was like, we need to make the games over fast. Like that was their priority, was ending the games within 10 minutes.
Well, when it comes to Stronghold, I'm not sure that's exactly true. When there's like a massive skill imbalance, the game's end really quickly. If you don't know the strategy on Stronghold, yeah, the game is going to end one way or another really, really fast. But if you have 2 teams that actually understand the game mode a bit better, it will typically go a very long time. Actually, it's quite easy to defend in Stronghold, as it turns out, in my opinion, anyway. In my experience. And the same is true of Conquest. If you have 2 teams that really know what they're doing, the game will typically last a pretty long time. Like maybe not 15 minutes, but it won't be over in 5, right? And the only time you'll get a 5-minute game is like a really stompy game. And I don't know, when it comes to Stronghold, that's not the case. It's just that the game mode never got refined, so there was some really, really cheesy strats, and it's kind of like it's one of those really fast mates in chess, right? Like if you don't understand the game very well and you don't see it coming, that you can't really do anything, you can't really stop it, and that's the same in Stronghold. I think it's very much if you have a team that knows what they're doing, and it's a team that doesn't, it's just going to be over in 2 minutes. Like there's various strategies that will work out very well for you in that game mode, but. I do think that, I don't think ArenaNet wants to have very long matches, but I don't think that would necessarily have to be the case. If you look at how GVG is right now, it's over very fast, but that's because of how quick the game is. Yeah, definitely forcing players to spread out on a larger map with some tactical elements to it, and a lot of strategy to it, I think would be really cool if they were to do that. I think it would be the way to make GVG the best, really, because to be quite honest with you, when people say that Guild Wars 2 GVG is kind of like a bit lame, I kind of understand it. Like I personally, I do enjoy it. I think the fighting is amazing fun, and the way the combat system interacts with having loads of players all working together, I think is awesome. I can certainly understand the perspective that it is a bit kind of like, well, this is a bit of a clown fiesta, isn't it? Like, there is that, especially with the way the meta is right now in Path of Fire. Actually, I'd say GVG is at peak clown fiesta right now.
I actually thought about it, especially as a way to revamp guild halls, since as Chad is correctly pointing out, guild halls are kind of
guilds
dead.
need way more upgrades.
And you could, I feel like you could do so much. Like Lucas is kind of actually writing out exactly how I thought about it. Like you could I don't know what exactly you'd have to change. Obviously, I don't know every notch about the guild halls. But if you could change them in a way that it would be like fun to siege them, fun to defend them with siege, maybe like limited, I think it could also probably become a huge shit fest if siege was too strong. But like, I mean, those are kind of details in a way. But if you like remake the guild halls into into instances that you could actually like with a guild attack another guild hall. If I don't know if DNT could invade the Salt Guild Hall, right?
We wouldn't have the numbers. It would
Yeah, DNT would come in
Salt
with
would invade the DNT Guild Hall.
Oh yeah, so yeah, that would be glorious. Imagine that, 15 brave DNT warriors facing off against the 500 disgusting Salt plebs. That'd be epic, dude.
It'd be like 300.
Just gotta find a choke point.
Exactly.
Easy.
Well, it's fine. Honestly, it would probably work. Like, all the Salt members would just run in and get farmed. Let's be honest. Okay, I mean,
Oh god, it would be amazing. I think it could make for a really amazing game mode, but it would probably take a lot of resources. Maybe something for a expansion at some point. Is that something you could think might be an expansion feature? Maybe.
Maybe the next expansion feature will be just very much guild focused. It's one of the major complaints and one of the major memes about ArenaNet is that, well, about Guild Wars 2 is that there's not much guild in it, is there? Right? I mean, there's no GVG. Guild Hall is. I mean, when did the Guild Hall last get updated? Does anybody know even?
They added a new one in POF. That was basically it.
That's true. Yep, that's true. So they still exist.
Do added decorations count as
chairs that you can sit in?
Oh, yeah. Chairs. They put chairs in the game. There's no new upgrades or anything like that. And they still haven't fixed the way GVG works. One of the things that we can definitely hope for, and I think they will eventually do, is that if they change the balance from PvE to World versus World or PvP or whatever in the Guild Hall, that would be a really big step in the right direction, I think. With regards to GVG, you could certainly get it going. Like right now, it's plagued with PvE balance aids in that, which probably makes it really annoying in the Guild Hall. But I think people are looking to do it more in Edge of the Mist anyway, especially with the new arena that's getting added. And when that gets fixed, they're increasing the size. That will make it a lot better. Yeah, I think it would be amazing if you could actually have a proper guild arena GVG with the correct balance, fix the instancing issues, add some kind of spectator mode to all of it, right? I think that would be awesome. Oh, they already made it bigger. Oh, nice. There you go. They already did it. Wasn't even paying attention. There you go.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah. That's probably the most realistic way of having GVG in the game is by fixing the way guild halls work with 15v15 or 20v20 or something like that.
I think one more really cool thing Guild Wars 1 has that it's like a minor thing is when you die that you can spectate another player.
I think that could be good in raids too.
I think that would be so cool in raids, exactly.
Yeah. More incentive to not die, I guess.
Like you can die, nobody's gonna raise you anyway. Like you can't be rested anyway.
It would be great for casting tournaments because you could have an 8-man tournament. Then the caster could go in on the team and die, and then could jump around and spectate anyone on the team's POV that they want to show, as the fight's going on.
Yeah, it would be a nice little thing, instead of lying down on the ground and basically having downtime, you can watch somebody. It's such a minor little thing, but I thought it was so cool in Guild Wars 1. I thought it was so cool when I died and somebody was try clicking somebody's name. Really immediately cool my screen jumps to their screen. It was amazing.
It's absolutely a great feature, I think, especially for helping people learn, understand. Right? Being dead on the ground is one thing, but watching someone not die might be pretty handy. It might be pretty handy.
Yeah.
There you go. So then you can then next time you won't die. It'll be great.
I love the chat's views on this. The downtime is great because it gives you time to feel really bad about your poor decisions.
Yeah, pretty much. And think about it, okay? You know, during this downtime, we're gonna think like, why didn't I just go play World of Warcraft? No, of course not. Okay, WoW. Okay, right. Okay, because WoW is trash. Okay, no, I'm just kidding. WoW is a perfectly fine game as well. I don't want the WoW players on my ass. Get them off. But it's true. It's true. Fuck you, Teapot. It's not trash.
A lot of people really like the recent WoW thing, right? I know a lot of people who started playing it and who talk very well about it.
Yeah, they've added world versus world kind of like now.
I mean, I've heard this in WoW every X pack for like the last like 6 years, where it's like, man, WoW's fun again, and then like 3 weeks later, like everyone's done with it and they've moved on to whatever else they're playing. Like,
good thing we don't have that in Guild Wars 2.
I would say like Guild Wars 2 might be better between like WoW expansions are better, but like between the expansions, Guild Wars 2 like is a little bit better with content, which is painful to say considering how kind of rough it is. But
well, I mean, better with content. I mean, let's see, how many raid bosses does Legion have?
Oh my god!
How many bosses in Legion? Wait, if I Google this, will it tell me actually?
I had this talk. This is the story I usually tell about World of Warcraft. I have this old friend who plays World of Warcraft since he's like 14 or something, right? And I talked to him and I said, so this was right before POF came out. So I was like looking back at Heart of Thoughts and I said, how many raids did you guys get? And he was like, oh yeah, we got like 5 or 6. Like, oh, that's not so much more. We had 4. That's cool. Hey, we're not doing so bad. And he's like, yeah, well, 2 of them were small ones, 4 of them were big ones. And I'm like, what's the small raid and what's the big raid? Well, the small ones have like 4 bosses and the big ones have like 13. Yeah. I was like, okay, I'm fucking done.
Yeah, they're not the same though. Like, it's not directly like one of those raid bosses is not comparable to Guild Wars 2. Like, certain ones are. Like, there are like certain mythic bosses that are definitely comparable, but like a lot of them are like convoluted trash mobs that are not.
Yeah, and that is also like why I'm against guild progression. Gear progression, wouldn't that just turn all the old bosses as well into even more farmable, unnecessary mobs? I kind of like that because of like no gear progression.
I think the last thing we need is more power creep. We don't need any more power creep. They definitely go back and adjust stuff.
If you have a hard on for gear progression, I mean, when Wing 6 comes out, start it in rare gear and only play with what drops for you. Only upgrade what drops for you. If a new axe drops, sweet, you have an ascended axe.
You got an ascended axe. There you go. Yeah.
And then we are back to that point of self-motivation, right? You want gear progression, just like put it on yourself.
Exactly. Just play with greens. Then you can get your gear progression. Job done. Yeah. Job done. I don't know. I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say anymore, guys. Like, after that, like, how can I possibly follow any of that? Okay? World of Warcraft, 30 bosses. Guild Wars 2, 2 bosses and 2 events. Feels good, man. Okay, that's fine though. I'm sure the next raid will be amazing. Okay,
I'm sure it'll be great.
Yeah, I have no problem with the quality of raids.
Okay, all right, let's go.
Didn't they say something like 2 bosses, 1 event? Like, is like pretty much locked in?
Standard. It's the standard.
Can we just have 2 bosses, 0 events? I think I'd be happier with that.
Yeah, me too.
Like,
Fuck
2
events.
bosses,
the events are the
events.
worst thing that happens to raids.
Imagine if it's 3 events, 1 boss.
Oh my god.
3
Make the boss first then. Make the boss the first thing, and then 3 events after, so it can be done after the first thing.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's just to finish off here. Let's do one more topic. Okay. What is a mechanic that you guys want to see in the next raid wing? What kind of mechanic, right?
I want to see boss animated, like we talked about earlier, Turayosa kind of mechanics. I want to see huge AoE spam. I would prefer to have bosses that are where you have to look at the boss model and you have to quickly react to something they do.
Yeah, we talked about that. I like the reactive bosses.
Loopy with 200 more times the HP that he currently has.
Massive Lupicus.
Yeah, like just crazy. Like where you have to have the reaction time to dodge Loopy's kicks. Like everyone in the raid has to have that reaction time. That's a lot for Guild Wars 2 players to ask. But I don't know. But yeah, definitely bosses where tells matter.
I just want to feel my raid boss with a cowboy hat. Chat going.
We
nuts.
already had that one. It actually got cleared pretty quickly. You see that Doroya guy? He's got the sickest rotations, dude. So it was pretty easy. There was a bit of collateral though as well. Like thing is, like Doroya's got a bit of a cleave on him, and he accidentally killed one of the ads as well. Like, he didn't mean to, but he got it. Yeah. The thing is, like, he plays Hollowsmith, right? So he's got a lot of cleave, and he just got his big old bomb, and then just ad just flying off, dude. Crazy stuff. Is that too soon?
Well, I guess at this point it's been a while, right?
Yeah, the big old bomb went off, and the White Knight ad flew off into the distance.
It still stings.
Oh. What about you, Deaxon? What do you reckon? New raid mechanic?
I don't know, man. Anything, any new raid, any new
anything
is better than nothing.
Okay, so all right, so we've
arrived at that point.
What do we want? We want things that telegraph-based bosses and literally anything. Okay.
No fucking AIDS break bars every 10% of its health.
Oh my god.
I like that.
No
Interesting
samurai.
break bar mechanics are cool though. I like the stop a certain attack by breaking him stuff. You're muted again, I think.
Oh, yeah.
No?
Rip.
I don't hear him.
Oh, sorry. So quick break bars where so-and-so is about to be sacrificed, but you have to do it in like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
But it's not the biggest break bar in the world, but people just have to react fast.
Yeah.
You know why I kind of like the break bar spam is because it makes certain builds viable for certain encounters, like base warriors, for example, on Samrock. Like if you have frequent CC bars, you need a class that has frequent high CC output, and then it actually changes your composition. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and it brings in something that you need a specialized class, right? It's almost like another role.
It's like a CC'er, right? It's a breaker.
Yeah, I think that's great. That's adding in a bit more diversity is really, really good. And it goes
maybe there
back
would be
to
more diversity if they nerfed Chrono CC.
No, don't do this.
Oh boy, don't get me started. Chrono nerf is another thing. Like I don't know. I've been trying to put together the Toriosa challenge recently. And afterwards, I thought about like whether it was possible to put more solo competitions out there. And it all fails to Chronomancer.
Let's talk about this, guys. Just for the ArenaNet balance team out there, I know you guys listen to everything I say. Mesmer is perfectly balanced. I don't.
Your ArenaNet team, I play Chrono now. I just want to let you guys know.
No, every class Roca plays gets destroyed. It gets nerfed into oblivion.
I'm a Chrono main now. I play Chrono.
Guys, I want to say this. Rocket is a Soul Beast
I just want to let you know.
Short bow. Okay, he's a
Chrono
short bow
my heart
main.
and soul.
No. Not like this. Yeah, I mean that would be really good, and it kind of we come full circle, guys. Back to the reactive gameplay. We want to see some reactive gameplay. But you know what I want to see, guys? Fighting multiple bosses at the same time. Why has that not happened yet? Okay,
because of Epi.
But yeah, just make Epi. Just make one of them have like permanent resistance. Like one of them can only be damaged by power. One of them only by Condi. Easy. Okay, there you go. Epi is now worthless. Simple. Or you can just make Epi not work. Like if you cast Epidemic on the fight, okay. He Epi's you. Okay, there you go. Right. So think about it. So you cast Epidemic, right? But when the Epidemic hits the boss, he Epidemics you, and you all get Epi'd and die. There you go. That'll teach you. That'll teach you to Epidemic him. He just has Plague Signet. Make him have Plague Signet. He just like randomly one-shots you if you Epidemic him. There you go.
Like a boss that will like copy certain abilities from your team comp or something.
Oh
like
shit.
It
absorbs your abilities, then it Epi's you.
Like the Double in Augury Rock and Guild Wars 1.
Yeah.
He'll just take over your form or something.
That'll be actually pretty sick.
We should just embrace that Chrono's the best like master class in the game. Like, because it can do everything. It can heal, it can tank, it can buff, it can be DPS. And it's just going to be like Dervish in Guild Wars 1, where it's just the best thing you can do in every instance in PvE. And we should just embrace the fact that 8 years from now, everyone will be a main Chrono. Because that's the only people that'll be left in the game.
You'll play 10 Chronos.
Yeah.
Nice. 10 mesmers. I mean, that seems fun.
You'll see speed runs where it's just like 5 chronos into a dungeon,
And you just portal.
yeah.
Yeah, you obliterate everything in portal constantly. Yeah, I think that
You
seems
can already. That's basically what Guild Wars 1 speedruns are. It's obliterating everything and then portaling it with dervishes.
Yeah.
Except in Guild Wars 2, it'll be chronos.
Yeah. I think that would be pretty cool. I think something like that would be pretty sick. But yeah, that's my opinion. And I think managing multiple targets could be a really big deal as well. Like you have to break 2 of them. Like you have to focus your CC in different places. Maybe you have to split up as well. I think one of the things that ArenaNet needs to force players to do is actually spreading out more. Like the strength of players, I feel, magnifies a lot when they're all standing on top of each other, and kind of dealing with that is something that I think they will try to do that actually, because we see them trying to counter the way the game is played in Wing 5 with the way Doom is, like dealing with the boons and stuff that can't be blocked or evaded or invuln. So I think positioning will be the next target for ArenaNet, trying to deal with players just standing on each other.
And make everything fast-paced. Everything like CC bar has to be like fast. Spreading up and going to certain positions has to be really fast, and going back to the boss has to be really fast. Imagine they
really
have half as much time to
the
go.
AI was faster.
The AI is pretty slow. It's true.
Like the way Doom walks, or any boss for that matter,
It's
like,
horrible.
I think
Yeah,
it's terrible.
Ugh. Yeah, it's really rough actually. That's something that I guess potentially needs some kind of AI rework to make them less dopey. Because I mean, look at Samrog, guys. Like Samrog is obviously probably the most egregious. Like Samrog and Sloth are just, I mean, what the fuck? It's terrible. It is terrible. But yeah, it's that certainly needs to be addressed. But yeah, it's one of the criticisms of raids, right? That they're quite slow paced. Like if you look at 100 CM, right, it's way quicker. Like Fractals are very fast paced, like 99 CM, 100 CM. They're all very fast paced. So it's a bit odd, isn't it, that raids are a little slower? But I mean, I think it's fine for them to be different. I think they're both difficult in different ways. But it would be really exciting to have a much more fast-paced boss, something like Arc, but in a raid scenario. I think that would also be really, really awesome.
Please, no Arc. He phases way too much.
No bullet hell. Like I hate bullet hell.
Why not bullet hell?
Also, Arc is one of the buggiest bosses in the game.
Well, obviously you don't make him buggy.
Well, fair enough.
Yeah.
But that's kind of hard for ArenaNet to do.
That's kind of a no-go, sorry.
20-man Arc. Yeah, just keep cranking it up, dude. You gotta keep cranking it up. Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah. I think that's gonna do it for us, guys. I think that about rounds off this TeaTime. We've come full circle, going all the way back to reactive gameplay. So basically, just add for the next raid, we can just add Matthias, but 4 times in a row. Maybe a little bit of a different skin, that sort of thing. Maybe buff his HP. Maybe they increase in HP as you go through the raid wing. Make exclusive rewards. And there you go. You fix raids. Repeatable CMs, job done. The raid seems fixed. And then add heroes to the game so everyone can do them and everyone can experience the lore and the story and be a role player. And once again, we have fixed the game thanks to TeaTime. What a surprise. I honestly don't know why ArenaNet doesn't just get us on the payroll. I actually don't. I really don't.
Because what would happen is we'd be like, here's a list of really good ideas, and they'd be like, all right, we can't afford this, or this. So you have no ideas that they can implement.
Oh,
they can only implement ideas that don't cost money.
Oh. Okay.
That would be the problem.
So we've got to build bosses with like an old piece of chewing gum and some like some stuff we found in the trash. Is what you're telling me.
Yep.
All right.
Just make like the tools to develop bosses so easy that interns can do it in their free time.
Ooh.
And just have the interns build bosses.
Yeah.
Easy.
Okay. Yeah, that seems good. But anyway, let's get to the best part. Let's start shilling. Perfect. So we have a new presence here, guys. Look who's here. Okay, you may know him by many names. Okay, Deaxon with 1 X. Okay, Deaxon with 2 X's. He has various well-endowed characters. I mean, compensating or reality, who knows, guys. Either way, it is everyone's favorite dungeon record holder and best friend of Grimjack. It's Deaxon. Here we go.
Yikes. Please don't critique my Guardian gameplay in that video. But, I don't know. I stream most days, so check me out there. I guess I'll give a link. That's about it. You know, I mean, I have a YouTube, but I don't upload too often. I have Twitter, but I don't tweet too often. Just watch me on Twitch. At 1,000 followers, I'm going to do a legendary giveaway, so there's a reason to follow me. We have like 70 more, and then we'll have it. So
Holy shit. Well, there you go. You better
That's
get on
right.
that right now, guys. Yeah. So, Twitch.tv, Deaxon, easy. Get on that action right now, and you can enjoy all of that glorious content in so many game modes, so many professions, so many situations. Get on it right now, okay? Moving across, we have the Benchmark Police, guys, okay? It's Roca. You can see him there, the golem. Got the police light. He keeps the Guild Wars 2 community in check, okay? He hacked into Fennec's account to make that Reddit post. Don't be fooled, guys. It's all Rocker on another account. He is policing every single benchmark. He checks the DPS manually. What he does is he looks at the screen, counts the numbers, adds it up. If something's fishy, he shuts it down and he takes them down, okay? He is responsible for debunking QT and SC and LN and every guild in the game. All four before his might. Rocker, who are you?
Well, I'm a streamer. I mostly Guild Wars 2 streamer. Lately, a little bit less than usually. But yeah, go check me out. I have a Twitch channel. I have Twitter. I have a Discord channel. That's very fun if you guys are into that. So check out my channel maybe. And yeah, I'm streaming more Monster Hunter right now than I am Guild Wars 2. It's like a guilty pleasure currently, but
hell yeah.
Okay. Well, that's very fine too. It's a lot like Guild Wars 2, except it actually has bosses and content.
Oh yes.
But other than that, it's basically the same. So if you don't look too close, it's kind of the same thing. I'm sure it's got wyverns in it, and you can just pretend you're doing vertebrae.
It does have huge wyverns, big wyverns. We have the best wyverns in Monster Hunter World.
The best wyverns.
The best wyverns.
The best wyverns.
They're insane.
Okay.
I actually got to probably stream it later on tonight, so if you guys are interested in that.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
All right. And then in the top left, okay, it is Nike from DNT, a shoe who has not only learned how to play Guild Wars 2, but also cycle as well. Where can we find all of that goodness?
My Twitch channel, my infrequently updated YouTube channel. Yeah, I would like to be playing more Guild Wars 2 on stream. It's rather difficult to stream that game unless you're into pugging. So I don't really do that so much. But so maybe once a week I'll play some Guild Wars 2. Once a week I'll play some Guild Wars 1, and then a couple bike streams in between there. Might be doing... I actually signed up for a race tonight on Zwift at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. So it's past most of your bedtimes, but if you're still awake, I might stream that if I feel like actually showing up to the race.
There we go.
It'll be full gas. PvP.
Well,
actual
PvP.
competitive PvP.
Holy shit.
Actual competitive PvP.
And they had new maps as well, as I understand it.
Yes,
so, yeah.
there was a new map added last month.
Well,
or 2
there
weeks
you go.
ago, even.
Yeah. That's big stuff.
Oh, there is one more little thing I'd like to throw out there, if I still may.
Absolutely.
So there is this Slutty Samurai stream hanging in the clouds. I just want to quickly... This was supposed to be yesterday, but somebody in my building accepted... I just want to quickly justify why it didn't happen, okay? Because somebody in my building actually accepted the package of a part of the outfit I had planned. And they just acted like they were me. They just accepted it. And today, this morning, actually, I found the package ripped open in the entry area of my building. And apparently the person didn't like the wig. And he just ripped it all up and threw it on the floor. But that's why I didn't basically have the necessities.
So next Saturday we can expect...
Because people have been very mad
about
you're
going to be in
recently,
Gamescom next Saturday,
I'm very sorry. It's happening, and yeah.
So when is it happening? Can you give us a date?
Probably not this weekend, because my brother's getting married on Friday, and I'll probably be spending the weekend at home. Okay. Probably the weekend after that, I guess.
Okay. And
yeah, I'll announce it in due time.
Okay, so guys, make sure to follow Roca on Twitter there as well, guys. Make sure to follow him on Twitter, okay, so you can keep up to date on that. And one question, and to kind of to kind of go, let's go on this a little bit, okay. Who is going to be the best trap, you or Deraya?
Oh God. Well, technically, I don't have to be a trap, because Slutty Samurai does not specify gender. I don't have to be a woman.
Oh, wait.
DeRoyer's
I can-
makeup game was on point.
Yeah, it was actually.
His
I
girlfriend
don't think I can
really
beat his
hooked
makeup,
him
like-
up, and I don't think you can top that.
His makeup was
You'll
professional.
struggle. You'll struggle with that. I mean, DeRoy did a very good job there. Okay?
Yeah, he did really good. Well, I'm gonna do my best. I guess we're gonna have to see. It's a
Okay.
tough act to follow.
Yeah.
I need somebody to do my makeup.
Do you
like
think you
that.
can take him though? Do you think you can take him? So will
I
you?
think my outfit is. I think
better.
my outfit has stuff to offer.
Okay.
It has stuff to
All right.
offer.
You know, I like that, a bit of
Yeah.
competitive spirit. I think that's very good. But anyway, guys, stay tuned for all of that. Of course, links will be found below the stream. Of course, as always, and of course, if you liked all of that and you like raids and you like me shouting at people, okay, and you like me complaining about the game, then why not follow the stream, guys, okay? You will find no other better source about people making fun of Guild Wars 2. Well, maybe not making fun of it, we love it actually, but, you know, poking at it and pointing out everything that's wrong with it while ignoring everything that's good. Well, you've certainly come to the right place here, guys, okay? We have nothing but cynicism and sarcasm to be offered here, and that is why you should follow and subscribe. Just do it, guys. Just do it right now, okay? Or you just wait for Topic EU to gift you a sub. That also can happen too. You know, that's... You know, so that's an option as well. So just hang around for that too. But yeah, follow, subscribe, come back and watch all the time. Watch all of our wonderful hosts today. And of course, a bit of a clap in chat for everyone here. What an excellent tea time. Once again, we have managed to be productive, okay? That is 2 tea times in a row we've done that, guys. All right, now that is impressive for tea time, all right? And, well, I was going to say we were on time, but I mean, that isn't true. That's not true at all, actually. But maybe I'll say we were so the people on YouTube think we were. I like that, actually.
Yes, it was late, but we were implementing new systems to ensure that the next episode will be out on time.
Nice! That is a perfect end to the stream, guys. Very nice there. So be sure. Next time we'll be on time. Next tea time we'll be on time for sure. Okay. So be sure to follow, subscribe, watch every single day. Open tabs for every delusion elitist. Okay. The only good Guild Wars 2 streams. Everyone else terrible. All right. There you go. Thanks for watching, guys. And we'll see you guys later, okay? Enjoy your gameplay and life experience. I'm sure you feel enriched after this show. I certainly do. But yeah, that is all, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.